Check. Okay, there's that. Check. Okay, there's that. Headset, earphones.
My entire day.
I did too. That's what I'm saying.
Really?
I watched the whole except for the first episode. The first episode I watched yesterday. The
Sorry,
remaining 9 I did today.
I'm dealing with some technical difficulties. So.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Trying. What? There we go. All right, we need to.
What's happening over there?
Okay. I think it's working now. I just want to make sure because I wasn't getting any audio at all. But I think it's good. Yeah.
Are you talking about YouTube?
Oh.
Yeah, I think it's good. If I'm too loud for those listening in the stream, last episode I was like a good 10 decibels louder than everyone else.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Back on it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like that when we were talking.
Yeah, so I need to make sure that my. Oh, that's why.
Yeah, you are actually. You're still significantly louder than everybody else.
Yeah, I switched the wrong thing. Okay, that should be better. Can someone say something?
I'm saying
Check.
stuff.
Hello.
And I'm talking.
Okay, hopefully that'll work. I'll monitor
I
a
want
little
this
bit.
to be live. Why is this not playing?
Yeah, but Fargo season 3 was a lot. Did you watch it, Deb?
No.
It's a good thing you watched it originally, though.
You could probably come
I've
down
seen
to
it
2 or
before.
3 decibels, but
You've already
closer.
seen it. Okay.
Yeah. I saw it with Dana a few years ago, and I watched a recap.
This season came out a couple years ago. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it
Okay.
before Dana moved. We
Oh
watched
shoot!
it.
Okay.
Yeah, staying
Wow.
with me before he
Check,
moved.
Okay, so it's been a minute.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole season 4 that's been out and about.
Yeah.
Right.
Which just haven't seen yet.
Okay, that should be good. All right.
What was
It
the
was like
season
a-
with? What was the season with? It might have been the season right after this or right before. I don't remember because we watched this one first. What was the one with the Godfather mom? I can't think of what it's called. She was her husband was running this what the fuck do you call it?
Oh, that was season 2.
Oh, it was season 2? Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
because we went back and watched that one was good too though.
That was pretty good.
Hmm.
I think that was the weaker of the 3. It was still good, but where is my? There we go. Excuse me, I'm still all over the place.
You know what I did? What I did watch though over the weekend was season 3 of Cobra Kai, which is amazing.
Huh.
You know what I watched actually is
Great fucking show.
I have to say I was mistaken. I was on the record, I think, for saying that I was over the Mandalorian, and like I was totally joining in the chorus of like I fucking seen this and blah blah blah. I suggested it to my parents because I figured this is like an easy show to watch with them because it's gonna be predictable. I was wrong, guys. Season 2, the last half of season 2 is actually pretty phenomenal television.
Yeah.
Are we on? Are we on?
Yeah, we're on. Well,
this Fargo?
well, we're talking
This is
about
what I
Fargo.
wanted
This
to
is
talk
the
about.
Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to bring
Yeah.
this up. Maybe it's something we can talk about another time, but
We should do it.
And
next
more
Oh,
week.
how
depth,
surprisingly good season 2 is.
I can't believe how
No.
wrong I was. I feel like a freaking idiot.
Well, I got a quick question. We all have. I didn't know we all had access to the Mandalorian. We should be talking about the Mandalorian. Should we talk about a show from 3 years ago? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I did. Have we all?
I didn't know
seen-
everybody had
I
access.
mean, I've
to
seen.
the
Are we switching gears right now?
Oh my gosh.
We can.
I didn't mean to
I
do
can
that.
edit the-
100% down. 100% ready.
I just
It'll-
didn't know everybody had Disney Plus.
Wait,
if I'd known this,
who's
I would
ready for what?
suggest
Are we gonna do this? Or are we
We
swapping
can
the
absolutely
Mandalorian?
talk about the Mandalorian. Yeah, I didn't mean
Here's
to
what I would
throw
rather
that
talk
wrench
about:
out,
the
but-
Mandalorian.
Okay,
rather
we can.
than-
Let's talk
Okay,
about the
but we need to do
Mandalorian. I-
Fargo.
we should
can
do
sometime.
Fargo since I did one shot the whole show today.
Yeah.
I also
Yeah,
one
and
shot at the
Fargo-
whole show today.
At some
Is
point, we don't have to
incredible.
do. Yeah.
We can
It's
do
incredible.
Mandalorian first. I think that does take priority, but
But
we
our
can definitely do
2
Fargo
audience
next.
members, 1.5 audience members, are they going to want to talk about Fargo? Were they? I mean, everyone's talking
I'm
about.
sure they would rather talk about the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I know I would. I have a lot of good points about the Mandalorian. Actually,
Mandalorian.
the Mandalorian.
Ooh, the Mandalorian.
Three
Welcome to
sips in.
Mondo Burger.
Jeez.
I don't
well,
have any sip stuff.
Get
One
some
of us
steps.
is
What?
always
No
missing a
drinks?
sipperoonie, man.
I know. Well, I have sip stuff.
Never
It's
me.
just it's all. Maybe I can ask one of my
Guys are slacking.
lovely roommates. to
Oh,
give me
I went to
some.
the store today and I specifically got sip stuff
Oh,
I was
were
gonna
you,
get sip stuff on the way home.
in anticipation of this
Sipping?
podcast.
Well, you know, the good thing about me sitting and watching all of Fargo in one sitting was that, you know, it's like when you're forced to watch good content, I guess, like the worst thing that happened was I sat down and watched a really entertaining show for 10 hours.
Yeah. Was this
Yeah, and
the
we'll
one
talk
with the
about it.
robot? And
Yeah.
because her
Yeah.
father-in-law.
Wait, what are we doing? Are we doing Mandalorian or
I
Fargo?
was just lamenting.
thought you were
the
gonna
fact
get
that
some
we weren't
Sip stuff.
talking About.
No, I was gonna text one of my lovely roommates that might bring it. To me.
Oh
We'll see.
no,
You
we're,
asked one of your
probably
roommates
not.
to bring you a sipperoonie?
Yeah. Well, it would have to be made. I don't have any
it's a
pre-made sip
cocktail?
stuff. Yeah, it'd have to be
don't need
cocktail.
pre-made beer.
Yeah, Danon
Mhm.
can't take shots. We all know this.
I also don't want to take shots during a live. Hold on, what they say?
Don't act like you haven't taken
God.
shots.
One
on
of these
live
days we
stream
could
before.
try that.
Oh,
You
I've taken
literally
shots on live
carved a
stream.
pumpkin while taking shots.
Guys, I do not take shots anymore.
Oh.
I took shots. Last time I took shots was at my niece's wedding the night before, and I was useless the whole next day.
Oh, okay.
And it was tequila too, which I'm a fan of, but man, I was just it
Yeah, I
a
was gonna
bump.
say tequila's kind of the only
next day.
thing
I don't do the next days anymore so well. So
I think
I
the
just
last
don't
time I
do it.
took a
Fair enough.
shot was when we did that Halo LAN party with like 50 people in my living room.
Wait,
50?
which one? The really old when you like were here?
Yeah,
That really old one? Oh, that was
the
There's
the
no
one
way.
right
Kyle-
before we
Kyle
played
has
that
taken a
show.
shot
got me
since
fucked
then.
up at that night.
Yeah,
Fucking
that was
Kyle.
that
If you're
was a
watching
lot of
this.
fun.
Oh, I mean, you did. Yeah, that was an interesting night for sure. But
Yeah.
That was a while
I feel
ago.
like, yeah,
That was fun.
I thought
We had
you-
3 Xboxes, different stations. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Man,
I remember half the night.
I remember cheersing.
he remembers
With,
looking
like,
at the ceiling.
with about 12 people in the kitchen, and Robbie at the time was a baby, so we had to like exclude him from the Snapchat that he
Baby.
took.
yeah,
man.
it was
Yeah.
a baby.
All right, so Mando season 2, are we doing that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. All right, we're swapping. I'm sorry if we said Fargo, Liz, if you're listening. I wanted to do Fargo,
Dang it.
but they do have a good point. We have actually all seen Mando season 2 recently, and this is Do We Like This Podcast. I am joined by myself, Danon Waters, and I've been saying it for like 6 months. Ben Nickerson,
It still deserves a cock.
throwing me shade, throwing me these cocked eyes. Jeremy Dallas and Daryl Waters, and we're going to talk about Hard Swerve Mandalorian season 2.
Oh yeah, we are.
Oh,
My
yeah.
eyes are uncocked.
Oh
by the way.
yeah.
Okay, good. I've taken the dicks out of my eyes, so.
De-dicked your eyes. I've uncocked mine.
D dick.
So, okay, I want to give my opinion on Mandalorian first, and I'm sure a lot of you.
As a show in general or season 2?
Oh my god, look at this guest appearance that we have from
Oh,
Mom.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, chat.
Wow. Is she
And
in witness
bye.
You wanna say
protection? She's
hi?
all blurred out.
She is in witness protection. Thanks, Mom.
My name is Monaco.
yeah. You're right.
Like, how's she
Right,
doing
yeah.
that with her voice? So when I watched the first season of Mandalorian, I was like, okay, this is entertaining. It wasn't like, I didn't think it was like crazy spectacular, but it was really cool. The technical stuff behind the scenes was incredible. And then I was like, okay, that was good. And then season 2 came out, and I was like, yeah, I'll watch it because I was already watching the first season. And like the first few episodes of season 2 were exactly the same as season 1. And I was just like, we're gonna do
we
this
can all-
again
I saw
for
that.
another
Shake our heads.
season?
Season of this, yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Nothing happened in the last season.
Not off to a great start.
Yeah,
in
and
the
so I was
first
like,
season-
this
or
is kind of
second season.
boring. And so I fell off of it for a couple weeks. And then when everybody was freaking out about how good it was getting, then I was like, okay, I'll jump back on. And yeah, it got
Well,
surprisingly
that's what
good.
it felt like. It was kind of a chore. Like I'd forget about it. Like, oh shit, it's Sunday. I forgot the Mandalorian came in on Friday. You know what I mean? Because that's what it felt like. Like, I'll
Yeah.
watch it. It's what's gonna be 42 minutes of my life. You know. And I felt it comes same way as I was gonna just keep up with it.
Yeah.
She
did
forgot
she
to put
put
the cranberry in that.
You don't need that. Doesn't waste your time. That
Done all
cranberry.
vodka.
Oh, thanks, Liz. Yeah,
She wanted to make sure that you didn't have a second one.
I
Is she
forgot
asking? Is she saying where the fuck's the topic we're gonna do? Or
She's
No,
like,
she's telling it. It's set up incorrectly. Apparently,
Yeah.
my handle is now your dudership.
ooh,
Oh,
spicy.
I'm Ben D.
You
3D.
are
Okay.
indeed.
What is, yeah.
That is good.
Benny D,
No,
I think.
Benny
Okay.
D. Oh, it's Benny D.
Thanks.
You know what's interesting is when season 2 got good is when Robert Rodriguez directed that episode,
Mhm.
and there was only 19 pages for that episode when he went to direct it. So he added, I guess, a bunch of shit in that made
Is
it
that
great.
the one with Timothy Elephant? Is that the one he directed?
No,
No, he directed the one where Grogu gets taken, right?
yeah, when
Oh,
Grogu
he did.
uses the
That's right.
the Jedi laser telephone on the mountain,
Yeah.
That's right.
and Boba Fett shows up.
Boba Fett. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he is kind of portly.
He's a little bit. Well, it's Tamura It's legitimately Tamura Morrison. I could
Yeah.
not believe that they actually requisitioned him.
What else is he doing?
Yeah.
He's just
He
back on his
said, "I've
Maori
been-
Island or whatever.
What? Yeah, he was on that same island Luke was on in Ireland. Or whatever. He said he's been waiting this whole time for them to call him, like, hey, sitting by the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
saying,
kind of ruined for me early on. I
Working
saw
on his
an
lines.
article before season 2 came out saying that they had casted him.
I
That's
had no idea that Tamura Morrison was going to be in there. When he started talking, I didn't even recognize him at first. And I know what Tamura Morrison looks like. I was a big
Yeah.
fan of Star Wars when I was younger. So he's changed quite a bit. And then he started talking, and I was like, wait a minute.
I know this
Kind of a
old fat
husky
guy.
voice.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
I've
that's
been looking
actually
for
him.
you, Mandalorian.
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
whatever he says.
He sounds
Yeah.
a lot like Mads Mikkelsen. He's got that same kind of
Yeah.
like
he does.
dusty voice. I don't know how to describe
He
it.
does
Wouldn't
have a
it-
very gravelly voice. It's true.
Mhm.
He's Australian, I think.
Wouldn't it have been more
No.
appropriate to have the kid who played Boba Fett in the prequels come back instead of Tamura Morrison? I realize he's a
He's a clone. It's fine.
he's a clone, but I also think that he's too old. Maybe I'm not just nitpicking right now. I think he's too old maybe to play Boba Fett at this point, because Boba Fett, what is this? Couple of years after Jedi.
5 years after Jedi.
Yeah, so Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's
should
enough.
be-
I got.
He would be
fat
late
since March,
30s.
so. I think
Yeah.
fat 5 years is enough to get
Could have
bloated.
gotten fat in the Sarlacc pit. Summer?
Yeah,
I don't know.
dude, there's some good eating in that Sarlacc pit. It's like a buffet down there.
Hey, if it's gonna
Oh,
take
yeah.
that Saul like 1,000 years to digest something, I'll get my fill. Okay.
Yeah, he's just
Like a
walking
buffet
around
down there.
filling his plate. You know what I mean?
Somehow he got fat in a Sarlacc pit. Yeah.
really quickly. This is a
Good.
friend of mine. We were joking back and forth in a text, and he'd mentioned about a KFC buffet. I'm taking a total right turn, and I thought he was just joking, so I googled it, and they exist. Can you imagine a KFC buffet, all you can eat KFC? Anyway.
Whoa,
Oh
you
my
Google.
God.
Where is it?
There's one in Banning, I think.
Oh, ew,
So you have to
Banning.
go to Redneck. You have
Of
to go to,
course, there
like,
would be a KFC buffet in Banning, California.
I looked anywhere that Speed is produced in trailer parks. They have KFC buffets, so
Probably
you
one in
have to
San-
go. I think there's one in Elsinore.
Bernardino.
There's one in Elsinore,
Elsinore.
of course, there's
Close
one
it
in
was.
Lake
Yeah.
Elsinore.
right?
Oh
Jesus.
man, that
Speed
Really
is-
manufacturer
showcasing the
can-
best of the cities between LA and Palm Springs there.
So I can just imagine Boba Fett in the Sarlacc pit going to the KFC buffet in one of the stomachs to the left or whatever.
Well, they
Before
have
he
a whole
climbed out.
community down there. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna.
So many people fell in that the Sarlacc.
As many
right?
people, yeah, exactly. Of different, a bunch of people who know how to do different things. So one day a guy
Good
falls
for
in,
him.
they're like, "Do you know how to fix plumbing?"
I get a leak in this Sarlacc stomach over here. I need to
No, as a matter of fact, I was a plumber. Okay, I'll
Right?
go
I
with
mean,
the community.
Off that skiff, there's probably like 10 people down there.
Yeah.
Plus Boba Fett.
Everyone's
That's what I was
falling
gonna
off.
say.
That's where they throw all their problems, man. I mean, it's like
I
it's
thought-
Yeah, I
Australia
need my
down
own
there.
Sarlacc
It's a
pit.
freaking debtor's prison.
Well, apparently the entire Sarlacc pits can be eaten. I found that out during the run of this season 2.
Oh, right,
Oh,
because
yeah.
the crate dragon.
the crate
which
dragons
is-
can just eat
super
entire
Sarlacc.
Sarlacc pits.
Oh, the crate dragon.
I
I want
wasn't
to
a
point something out
huge-
really quickly.
Oh, go ahead.
So Monica made this drink for me, which I'm very thankful for. And
not
I
me.
have these whiskey ice cubes. Let me see if I can fish this out.
Oh, this is appetizing. Do this on screen so that we can see you stick your fingers in there.
I'm using
Letter
ice.
opener.
Oh,
My letter opener ice.
I think it was
So
there when you got
see
that
this
letter.
like cubular ice. She took that and put it in with regular ice cubes. So it's like this weird combination of like fancy and white trash. I don't know. I thought it was interesting.
mhm.
I think, like, once
My whole
things
life.
have been subjected to trashy, they just are also trashy, right? Like that's.
This is just a drink of me right
So
now.
so I really want to know. I really want to know. I hope they get to it. Anyone who's seen. Oh, spoiler alert! If you haven't seen The Mandalorian, there's gonna be lots of spoilers. So
Oh, yeah.
at the end of the end, we see Boba Fett and that chick just go kill everyone in
Inside
Jabba's
Jabba's.
palace. Just
Yeah.
fucking kill everyone with impunity. Just, you're dead. You're dead. Fuck you. You're dead. And they just kill everyone. And then he sits on and I like how Bib Fortuna got fat as hell too.
Speaking of
This is the
getting
whole
fat,
show.
Yeah,
He
dude.
was trying to replace Jabba.
That's what I was
I think
saying.
we were
That's
talking
big
about that.
fat.
Even his head spaghetti was fat. Everything got fat on that guy.
Yeah.
They're called Leku.
He also nerd. He also speaks like a fat person.
I love
now. He's
that.
like,
Oh
oh,
even had fat vocal cords.
oh, Boba.
Oh,
I thought you were dead.
enjoy the buffet, KFC. You know? And then he shoots him, and then he just sits down in his chair, and then we're gonna have the Book of Boba, I guess, or whatever it is.
Yeah,
And it's basically him just which I
Is
don't
he
know.
really a mob boss? Is Boba Fett really supposed to be like?
No, he's a bounty
mob
hunter. So
boss? He's a
seems
bounty
like an
hunter.
odd turn.
That's
I don't get that. I want to
yeah,
be excited about it, but I don't get it.
I have another problem with this too, and I brought this up when we were playing Modern Warfare with the fam. Is these cartels are run by the Hutts? This is the Hutt cartel, right?
Yeah.
yeah. That's
So
yeah.
how has no other Hutt replaced Jabba when he got killed in 5 years?
Yeah, how come it was a fat
How come he can
tentacle?
walk around and then Fat Bit
So-
Fortuna's there?
It's not exactly. It's still legends as far as how the underground crime network works.
I love that Ben knows all this.
That's why I'm asking Ben. That's why I want to.
Yeah, well, in the old canon before Disney came over and tried to clean things up and then released a bunch of movies that made things somehow worse. The old canon was that the Hutt crime families were the ones they are out of Nal Hutta, and they every basically black market was run by the Hutts. But in the new canon, they can pretty much do whatever they want because there's not been any direct references to the Hutts. The only thing that comes close is in the Clone Wars movie, the animated one.
The baby Hutt.
There's the baby Hutt that's
Yeah.
like Jabba Hutt's niece or something like that. It's really weird. They have
Well,
a
no,
couple.
There's also Jabba's sister. Or
Yeah,
aunt
they
or
have-
something.
She was
right.
really bullied at school. Jabba's niece.
It's actually surprisingly anime the way they did that, because Jabba the Hutt, they decided to make Hutts androgynous, but also basically
On me boogie.
they decided they were like, okay, we need to talk about the anatomy
that so much.
of Hutts. So I guess they are
Do we really need to
they're
talk about the anatomy of
androgynous
Hutts?
worms that can choose their gender. And then they made Jabba the Hutt's sister like this kind of offensive almost character. It was weird how they
Just
did it.
Jabba
It
with
wasn't
boobs.
handled very well at all. They were it wasn't cool.
I don't know what she's supposed to. She's like this.
They're crime worms. All right.
They're crime. Look, here's the
They're
thing. though.
crime
Here's-
worms. I don't
here's
know
the
why
crime
they
worm.
gave us a lesson in
The
anatomy
Hutt
of Hutts in the first place.
clan, the Hutt clan is still a mafia. They are a mafia,
I would go see
Mhm.
Crime Worm.
crime worm.
Crime Worm.
But
Right,
there's
but-
other
Is that the sequel to
That would be a
that?
good TV show.
syndicate.
In the
Crime
canon,
canon.
there are, I'm sorry, in Legends now there are, but actually in the official canon, there's not a huge amount of Hutt crime families, so it's not
Oh,
quite
you're
as
saying
clear.
it's just smaller.
The Hutt crime family exists, but that's not the only faction that's in the black market anymore, theoretically.
Right, because
Okay,
like
well,
at the
we're
end
on the
of
road next to the
Solo.
freeway. Let's get back on the freeway now.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
yeah,
We're on the-
anyway,
we're on the
important
service roads.
context for
We're on the old
us.
road. Let's get back on the
the
freeway.
point is, it doesn't make any sense for Boba Fett be going around like
It
a
was an odd
monster.
turn, and I felt like it
That's
was
right.
so
weird
weird.
that,
That's so weird, and I don't know
Because-
what they're gonna do with that.
because it felt like a weird turn because Boba Fett, he's a escape from a Sarlacc pit. What does he do? Well,
He's-
bounty hunter, right?
He's
So-
the muscle, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
so-
not the boss. He's the muscle.
But he kind of they didn't have to help Mando, which I don't know why I hate that they call him that. He didn't have to help Mando with Grogu and that whole thing, and get him, but he did. So it kind of felt like the character was kind of a good character now,
Right.
and for them,
a
him,
man
and
of
him
honor,
the chick.
I guess.
Yeah, even though what's the name of the chick that's with him? I don't remember.
Oh,
Anyways.
it's like the assassin girl that they get.
Yeah,
in
the
season
assassin.
one.
But anyways,
yeah.
so when they
Fennec.
first meet Boba
Fennec,
Fett,
yeah.
and Grogu's on the Jedi phone she's gonna kill Grogu. They can't make a deal. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well, she's a bad bitch,
Mhm.
And then they kind of make them good people. But and then
Yeah.
the show ends with them just go and I guess it's okay to just, but you just can't kill crime boss people just because they're bad, right? And take over their whole enterprise, I guess. And that's what they do. It seems like an odd thing to do. After we kind of redeem these characters, they were kind of good now because they'd help. They didn't have to help. They could have said, hey, our deal's done, we're leaving. No, they totally helped.
Yeah.
And then now they just go kill everyone in Jabba's palace, which I guess is okay because they're bad, but even still, felt like it felt odd.
It seemed weird.
It
yeah.
was.
Felt
I
weird.
agree. It was
I heard
strange.
I heard someone mention they had a theory that it was done in an act of vengeance. Like
That's
he
what
had
I
a
was
chip
gonna
on-
say.
He had a chip on his shoulder about all the people that were there the day that he fell in the Sarlacc pit. Their
But,
theory,
like,
their theory
but
was
get all
like, oh,
that.
no one came back
It wasn't
for me.
even
no one tried to.
it wasn't even Bib Fortuna's fault.
Yeah, Bib was the delivery boy. What Bib? We had coffee the other day, so I can call him Bib.
First name basis.
Actually,
Oh, nice.
Actually, I know Bib. No, I met the guy who played Bib, Mr.
Oh.
Fortuna, at the Star Wars thing. And it's strangely enough, really quickly, here's some other useless trivia.
Oh, are those head things actually part of the actor?
Yeah, he had
They're called
and he took one of
Leiku.
them-
They're like
He
dreadlocks.
took one of them and he pushed it down his pant leg. So first I thought Bib, and then it was just one of his head. It was one of his head noodles. But
Head tails. Come on, guys. This is
What's it called,
this is
Legu?
Disney stuff. They're called Leiku. So the reason they're called Twi'leks is because they have two Leiku, i.e.
oh, he's a Twi'leks.
Yeah, he's.
I
no,
love
he's-
that movie with the vampires.
He's a Twi'lek,
Does it sparkle?
which means that he has twin Leiku. That's why they call them Twi'lek.
Hold on, is that Ahsoka Tano or whatever her name is? Is she is
Ahsoka
she a
Tano
Bib?
also has head tails,
Really?
but she's actually the same race as Shakti.
Which
so it's not. She's not a Twi'lek. I forget
Who are-
what the name of her race is. Ayla Sakura though is a Twi'lek.
Oh,
Really?
The
So
blue.
I
Bib's-
thought
blue
they were
one.
all the same.
No. Those are different races.
So, anyways, I met the real Bib for reals.
This
He
is
was pretty
Bib
old at the
Fortuna
time,
for people
and
wondering. Here, I'll put it over.
my brother Donald had the
Bib
Bib Fortuna, a dolly, Kenner dolly when we were kids. That was
Yeah.
fun. That was fun to play with. But also, he in American Werewolf in London. You remember that part where the werewolf from America in London kills that guy in the subway?
Vaguely.
The subway
Yeah.
guy. I'm going to report this. That's Bib Fortuna, same actor.
Oh.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's crazy.
So, what are we saying? Bib Fortuna and American Werewolf, same universe? Are we? I'm just kidding. I see this all the time, and it
I see
drives me
that
fucking
theory.
crazy. Everybody tries to connect all these universes. They're not the same fucking universe. Stop it already.
Yeah.
with all the fucking connected universes.
well, they were
Are
trying to
we
do that.
saying
With
this is the same universe? No, we're not.
I
Same
mean,
actor.
Michael Caine is in Batman, and he's.
What are we saying? What are we
He's also
saying?
the magician dude in the Prestige. So
Yeah. What are we saying?
What
Same
do you
universe,
say? Batman is
Same
he's
director.
fought magicians before, so
right? And
Now, is it the
Also,
same guy? The Bib?
Yeah,
Is
same
it-
actor.
In at the end of Mando, it's the same guy.
No,
No,
that guy's dead. No, the guy, the original actor's dead. When I met him,
Oh,
at,
see, I didn't know that.
yeah, when I met him at
must have had quite the impression.
Celebration in 17. Well, it was one of these guys who was sitting, he was really, really old, right?
Mhm.
And he was sitting there and he had the picture of him, of Bib behind him. So I went and
Oh.
chatted him up for a bit because no one was talking to him. I'm like, guys, it's fucking Bib Fortuna.
Bib,
What's wrong with all of you?
come on.
And I said, maybe if we wore the head noodle, you would have gotten more play,
Mm.
your guy.
Mhm.
But and then
And he said, "Please, for the love of God, if I never have to wear that makeup again."
more trivia really quick. 8 hours. The original time, the first
I
time they
believe
put it on was
that.
8 hours, and
I
then they got it
believe
down to
that.
like half an
Good
hour.
lord. What was the screen time for Bib Fortuna? It was like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's enough time though. But
Total.
that's weeks of shooting though, you know. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
anyways,
Well, I wanted
was.
to talk about the first episode. Basically, the recap of the first episode is he meets somebody wearing Boba Fett's armor, and that guy's like, "I'll give you this armor if you help me kill a crate dragon." Which, in the Star Wars lore, like crate dragons are these like super badass creatures.
seemed pretty badass.
It was cool, but I
badass
don't
to
know
me.
why they just made it a super Sarlacc, because the crate dragons exist in the legends as these like creatures that look like giant dragons, and this thing was a sandworm, which is what the Sarlacc already is. So it was really
Is the star like a sandworm?
I thought the Sarlacc was like a like violent Venus flytrap.
Yeah, it's a.
If you tell me the Sarlacc is a worm, that will completely shatter my perception.
No, because if you look at any of the books about the
of
Sarlacc,
Sarlacc pits,
it's this opening, and then it's all these extension stomachs and everything. It's locked into the
Yeah.
ground. It's not a
I
mover
thought- I
and a
was fucked
shaker.
up.
It stays where it's at. It's like an antlion. That's where
Yeah.
it's based off of, right? And so it
But-
just lives in the ground and waits for shit to fall in its hole.
I mean,
So-
yeah, sure, to some extent, but like the Crate Dragon being, I don't know, it felt weird to me to make the Crate Dragon a tremor.
No,
Like,
it was
I was
supposed to be
halfway. I was
Jaws.
half
It was supposed to be a
expecting.
shark.
I was like,
That's-
oh, is Kevin
that's
Bacon
it,
gonna
right?
come float up with TNT?
It's
The
supposed to
Crate
be a
Dragon
shark. It's
tremor.
a sand shark. It's there's a reference to Jaws in the episode.
It's really
Yeah, I recognize that it's supposed to be a shark.
it's
but
it's one of the things I've hated about first and season and second season is, hey, if you do this for us, I'll do this for you. They do it every fucking episode, and it's
Yeah.
exhausting to me.
He makes a
Especially for
new
someone
deal.
like myself who grew up on this type of it just was a conscious decision by Favreau and Filoni, I'm sure, but I grew up on this type of television. It's from the 70s and the 80s, where every show was like this. This guy's wandering around. It was Incredible Hulk. It was Kung Fu, and he comes to a new town, and they say, "Okay, we don't like you, but if you do this for us, we'll do this for you," kind of thing. It was over and over and over again. So the Mandalorian already is like, "Oh my god, I'm so sick of this already."
Because
So
that's
why
they
it was
spent a
fun.
lot of the first season.
The whole
That's
first
all
season
that
was
was. That's all that
So we-
was.
yeah, the
already
whole
see-
first
yeah.
season was that, except there was the one caveat at the very beginning where he steals the baby, and that's
Mhm.
that's the only thing that really diverts from the formula. It's that and the
Werner
final
Herzog was
episode.
great. I could watch him do anything. He's fantastic.
Werner
Yeah.
Herzog is,
Yeah.
apparently
amazing.
Werner Herzog is responsible for Baby Yoda being a puppet instead of CGI.
Good for him.
They were, the producers
God.
were
Excellent choice
discussing
on
it,
that.
and he called them cowards.
That sounds like Werner Herzog.
Werner's a
That's awesome.
badass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Uh,
sick.
Don't
I haven't
be
had
a
coffee with him yet.
coward. Use the puppet.
That's
I just
funny.
love that idea.
You know what though? I think that season 2 would have kept going the way we're talking about if they hadn't. I mean, I don't know. I'm just talking completely out of my ass, but it's what it feels like to me. Bringing in Rodriguez, because that episode felt so different, right?
Mhm.
It was the introduction of Boba Fett and everything, but it's
Yeah.
like it felt so different to me. I'm like, what? I'm like, I thought I felt
Well,
like, what just happened?
honestly, what
This
really
got good is what I thought to
yeah,
myself.
w-
It's itself.
when it got good for me, and I
Good.
recognize this wasn't a divergence from the formula, but when it got good for me was actually when they reintroduced it's a reintroduction for me, but the Mandalorian trio that they run into.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
thought that was
yeah.
pretty
So
cool.
that was the
Bo-Katan?
first good,
Mhm.
yeah, Bo-Katan. That was the
Or
first
Tan.
good episode. Or Katan.
Jeremy,
I don't know.
Don't you
fucking
fucking
Jeremy.
start, Jeremy.
But
With
regardless,
your Catans and your Catans again.
that actually, not only was it like, oh, cool, Bo-Katan, and like, like, oh man, I know these people, it scratched that like fan service itch for me, but it also helped clarify a lot of things. I love that they were like, right out the gates, they were like, oh fuck, this guy's a religious radical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. Because
I
I
had
thought the
no
same thing
idea.
too about the Mandalorians is that they had to keep their helmet on. And so when he's talking about that in season
This is really
1 and part of
gross,
season 2, I know that'd be
Yeah,
swimming
can
in
you imagine,
sweat.
dude?
Oh, my god, so
you'd have
gross.
to have the filters on it all the time. But then I was like, okay, this makes a lot of sense because Jango Fett basically sold all his cells to make the clones, right? So he wouldn't have
Yeah.
been an actual Mandalorian. And
Yeah,
I
and they
know that.
confirmed that he apparently like wasn't essentially.
I
Yeah,
like that. I
like
like that
sold
too.
out.
When Bo-Katan, yes, said it, Ben.
All right, whatever.
Pointed out. I know that
Fair.
voice. I like what she was like. I know that voice. Something about being a clone.
Oh
voice
my
with her.
god, yeah,
That
I've
was
killed
fucking
Heard your
tons
voice
of
a
you.
thousand times.
Yeah.
That was. I heard that
Oh
voice
my
1,000 times. That was so fucking cool.
Mine will be
Yeah,
the
I
last
like
you
shit like that.
hear. I
Yeah,
love
that was good stuff. I
Yeah.
was like,
That was
this-
really entertaining. Yeah.
and I think that must have been that was the episode after the Robert Rodriguez episode, and this is when it all got good. You know what I mean? Like what we're saying up to this point, like it was extremely formulaic. I don't know if this was the plan. I doubt it to bring us in because they weren't sucking me in this whole time.
No,
They did
don't.
a
think,
really.
like, the
I mean,
first
it
two
feels
episodes-
cohesive looking back, but yeah, I mean, they did a really bad job of making it seem like it was going to get good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then, but I figured it was just gonna be the same way the whole throughout the second season. And like we're saying, these last 3 episodes just came out of fucking nowhere, kicked ass. I love the Dark Troopers. I'm having a little problem with Moff Gideon only because we've seen him. I think we've seen him too much in too much of the stuff. He's the bad guy in The Boys. He was.
Yeah.
Help me out, Jeremy.
Gustavo
Mr.
Fring
Edgar.
from Breaking Bad.
And he's so good as Gustavo Fring, you know, and I know that's why they hire him. They're
The
like, we need to
quintessential
Gustavo
bad guy.
Fring.
We
He's
need
also-
somebody that's classy and a bad guy.
He's also the new bad guy in the Far Cry 6.
It's just too much.
Oh, it's too
And I
much.
love him,
He's
but it's too
fucking the
much.
bad guy. Yeah.
It's
That's
like
a
what
good
they
point,
did
Daryl.
with,
I hadn't thought about that.
yeah.
But it's
And
true.
so it throws me off seeing him in is this because I'm like, well, shit, man, he was so amazing as Gustavo Fring. Anything else compared to that, which has been, is nowhere near as good.
He's the new
wearing him out.
Alan Rickman, right? He's the new
Yeah, I
suave,
guess you could say that, yeah.
clean cut bad guy.
He's great. I love him.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's getting all this work. So I'm not mad at it. It just kind of throws me off in the show because
It takes
I
you
just
out of
think they
the
should've cast somebody
series.
He does
Yeah.
play the exact same character. I mean,
Or something
Yeah, he's
close to
absolutely
that
actor
typecast.
Can
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
an amazing job at different things, but he's like, especially after watching the Far Cry 6 game or like cinematic trailer, he's playing the exact same character as Moff Gideon, exact same character as Mr. G
Edgar.
or whatever his name is, and
Mhm.
The Boys. It's the same character all the time, and it's a great
Well, I
character.
think
but
that,
you can't cast the same actor to play that same character all the time.
yeah.
'Cause
it gets old
I
quick.
love the calm and collected guy pulling the strings.
It
Yeah.
was a very refreshing change of pace. I thought they did an amazing job with the final reveal in the Mandalorian series, where Moff Gideon is like trying to vie for some sort of leverage while he's being held at gunpoint by everybody that stormed his ship and everything. And he's like all cool and collected, and then the single X-wing shows up, and all of a sudden he looks like he's shitting his pants because like if you're in the Empire, right, even an Imperial remnant, you've heard stories of like the one X-wing that fucks everything up, like no matter where, like it's like clearly this guy has got this like horrible lore in his head of like the boogeyman that Luke Skywalker must be. And so when one X-wing shows up, he goes from being like, I'm gonna kill myself. Fuck this,
Yeah.
It's weird
I'd
because Luke
rather
doesn't
face-
take him in. Nothing happens, actually. It's funny. I just thought about it, but like,
Totally doesn't even look at him. Doesn't even say
doesn't
anything.
even
Like,
acknowledge
hey,
him.
Moff, you're here
mean-
again? No, nothing.
It really demonstrates
Why
the
was he so
power
scared?
levels, right? Like
Yeah.
I love how they made the power levels so clear when it came to Luke versus everybody else. Like, they're fighting for their lives. Like this is a suicide mission trying to save Grogu. Luke shows up, murders all of their strongest enemies immediately, comes in, grabs the baby and leaves. It's just like, yeah, you clean up your own mess.
Doesn't even care about Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine,
Dude,
you guys
he
all know.
killed Darth Vader and the Emperor.
Yeah.
Who cares about
Fuck,
Moff
didn't give a
Gideon?
shit about Moff Gideon.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't
Fuck
kill.
that.
Darth. He didn't kill Darth. He didn't kill Darth.
Okay, well, yeah,
Or the
true.
Emperor.
He probably gets credit for it.
I
Right.
would,
Well,
I would
he-
give him credit for that. He fucking
hit him
cut his
a
hand
lot
off
with the
and broke him
lightsaber.
down.
Yeah. Cut off his
Yeah.
robot hand and
He also didn't kill the Emperor, technically. I mean,
True.
yeah, that's what
He
I'm saying.
caused that to happen, though. If he didn't go,
It's one of
it
those
wouldn't
things
have
where
happened.
he just leaves and people go, "You killed your emperor," and he's like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
"You
exactly.
killed Darth Vader?
Of course I did.
Both my hands, I did." Just let
Luke
it happen.
didn't even
kind of thing.
blow up the second Death Star, but I bet he gets
Right.
credit for that too. I mean, it was,
Probably
it was all
also
Wedge
explaining Death Star.
Antilles and
What an
Lando
asshole.
Calrissian, man.
isn't that a salad?
So here about that part. So after I'd watched that, this is the contrarian Star Wars fan coming out now. Perry called me because he loved it, of course.
I
You guys
saw
all
his
know Perry.
Facebook post about it. Yeah.
Mhm.
And to me, I it didn't do anything for me really. It was neat. I think the
But-
Luke face was horrible. I thought the
Oh my
CGI
God,
was
yeah.
horrible. It was the
I wish they would just cast a
Just-
young guy, right? Like
just get no well just get the
No.
YouTubers that are doing the deep fakes amazingly well. Because then because it sucked. It was just as bad as Leia's face at the end of fucking Rogue One, which was fucking terrible. But that's not even the problem.
Yeah.
This was the Luke we needed in The Last Jedi.
that's
and we
also-
didn't
I
get it.
know. I know.
So when The Last Jedi came out, I was emotionally ready for this Luke, and I didn't get him, right? They shat all over it. And then Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy and all Lucasfilm, and that stupid potato-headed Ryan Johnson doubled down and shat all over the fandom. called us toxic, called us misogynist, called us this, called us that. So by now, and I appreciate what these guys are doing. I love that Filoni and help me out, what guy's name? Favreau are trying to retcon, trying to fix, trying to give us the Luke we need. But now I'm burnt. You know what I mean? Like they hurt me too deep, and then they didn't apologize. This is how forgiveness works. You hurt someone, and then you come out like Kathleen Kennedy should have done, and said, you know what? Fucked up, guys. I fucked up. I ruined the last 3 Star Wars films. They sucked. We're gonna do better. But that's not what they did. They attacked us for it, called us toxic fans and all this shit. So fuck them for starters. So when this Luke thing happened, I wanted to.
It was like too little, too late.
I felt nothing. I felt nothing from it. I was like, this is neat fan fiction. This is what this whole show has been for me. It's been fan fiction. I think it's cool. I think it's fun to watch, especially now with these last 3 episodes. But it's not retconning Star Wars for me at all. You know, they're not fixing it. They need a lot more. Like I said, we need an apology first, in my opinion. You know, because that's how forgiveness works. Someone apologizes and you say, I forgive you, and then we move on. We've never gotten that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Very deeply emotional.
I don't know if we
fucking A-Rod I am about this shit.
I don't know that I want an apology.
I want.
Well, I don't know. They can. The thing is, I don't know if like Favreau and Filoni can make the apology because they didn't do the damage.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Kathleen. Hold on, she's at the door.
Oh, yeah,
right
but
now.
she's never.
She's coming in right now, Kathleen. She's apologizing. Hold on.
Oh wow! Hey, thanks, Kathleen.
She's not at the fucking door. She'll never shut my door. She'll never apologize.
Yeah. So I took it
sorry.
like, well, we all know that this is what you should have gotten in The Last Jedi, so we're at least going to provide.
And I
we're going to
appreciate
do what we can
Really
do
good.
to rectify that with this show, which
Yeah.
also I mean, to me, it really legitimized the show. It gave it this status of like, this is a heavy hitter. This is arguably one of the.
It's
most
coming into its own.
It's the best Star Wars content that has come out since
Yeah,
the
I
original
mean,
trilogy,
you know,
and I'm
it
not
really
even afraid.
solidified it.
I would agree with that.
I'd agree with
with
that.
Yeah. It completely
I just-
legitimized it. And honestly, I thought it wasn't going to be Luke. I actually, even when the X-Wing landed, I still didn't think it was going to be Luke.
I thought it was
It
Ben
was.
Kenobi.
I thought,
Of
That was
course,
be
it was
Yoda.
going to be Yoda, like actual Yoda.
Yoda.
So
I don't know,
speaking of which,
'cause, you know,
Yoda's
they
alive
go-
right now. Yoda's alive in
Yeah,
this.
Yoda is alive
right?
in this timeline.
He's,
Yeah.
he's chilling and. Oh no, he's not.
No,
he's
he's not.
sorry,
No,
he's
he's
dead.
not.
What
This
are
is
you
after-
talking about.
this
He
is
died
after
in
Return of the Jedi.
Hold on, it's just hope.
Yeah.
I wanted Yoda to
But
be.
I saw
still
him in The
chilling
Last
and-
Norway.
Jedi, so I
No.
thought, oh, he must still be alive. But of
As
course,
Ghost
that's
Yoda.
Maybe-
Ghost Yoda.
Maybe Yoda laid this egg that Grogu came from. For all we know, 50 years old.
There you go.
We don't know how Tridactyls
But you know,
work.
I thought because they
What are they called?
They dove into
Here,
they
I'll
dive
take
into
this
the
one, Ben.
shows a lot, right? The Clone Wars and
Mhm.
and even Rebels.
Yeah.
So I still thought that it was going to be like I thought it was going to be like that Ezra guy from. I haven't seen the show.
Oh yeah.
From what is it?
From Rebels.
From Star Wars Rebels. I thought it was
Yeah.
going to be like some other, right? Because Ahsoka's from Clone Wars. I thought it was going to be some other like B-lister Jedi. So I was really happy that it was.
Yeah, I mean, legitimately.
Yeah,
no,
I'm
Reality
gonna be a
TV star
B-lister. I
Jedi.
Oh, we're
One
going
of
to
the
get a
spaghetti
Jedi,
heads from the
la-di-da.
prequel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, spaghetti. Yeah.
you
It
guys
was
haven't
Kit
seen
Fisto,
Kashyyyk Shore?
actually.
It's great, dude. Kashyyyk Shore. I
He
highly
survived the attack on Sheev Palpatine. It was Kit Fisto the whole time. You couldn't
Kit
tell behind all of his
Fisto.
leg tails or his head tails.
More
Kit
head
Fisto
tails.
is the squid
hey,
face
Ben.
looking guy.
What kind
Yeah.
of creature is Kid Fisto?
It's Kit Fisto, not
Yeah,
Kid
Kit.
Fisto.
I
Kid
call it
Fisto.
Yeah,
I
that's
like
legal.
Kid Fisto.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I always thought it was
I
weird
think
that
Kid
Kit
Fisto.
Fisto uses a lightsaber. I mean, he's got these freaking tails flying everywhere, and he's got a laser sword. Like, you don't think he would accidentally give himself a haircut at some point? Like,
You would slip. You'd be
Yeah,
like,
there's no doubt about it.
So really
"It's my
quickly,
head noodle," and it's laying on the ground. Quivering.
Yoda is a tridactyl because there's no official
yeah, it's
Species for Yoda.
unidentified.
or
Tridactyl
and Yaddle.
Does that
I
still
want to
say?
throw Yaddle. in
Yaddle's
there.
no longer canon, I don't think, because
Did they get rid of her in the Phantom Menace? Because she's in the
well,
Phantom
she
Menace.
got edited out of the Phantom Menace.
Oh shit.
Oh, you're talking about that other Jedi
The
Council.
female, yeah, the female
Yeah.
Yoda that's sitting on the
Yoda
council.
person.
Female.
Yeah.
I am. It's the thing. Fuck Disney too. Everything that was canon is still canon in my opinion. Fuck them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They try to decanonize everything. They can't do that to us. I don't care that they paid $4 billion for it.
So
They'll
here's
never
the
take
thing.
it away from me.
Fuck
When
them.
they
Yeah.
did it, I was actually, I thought that, or I had hoped that they would cherry pick the things that made sense, because there's a lot of shit in Star Wars canon that is absolutely garbage. Like, just
Oh,
total.
agreed.
Empire of
There's
Fear
always-
is terrible. Or
So
Galaxy
I
of
was
Fear or
happy
something?
with Disney being like, you know what, we'll wipe the slate clean. We're not going to just throw away all your favorite properties. We'll call everything Legends until we like canonize it and bring in stuff that's good. That's how like the Knights of the Old Republic got canonized in Rogue One when they
Yeah.
had like the Hammerhead class cruiser, which doesn't
Oh
make sense.
yeah.
I mean, that's a 4,000-year-old ship that they're just using to fight the Empire. Like, okay, but at least they canonized Knights of the Republic. So it like from that perspective, I was fine with it. But the fact that they did such a bad job with the overall world building that happened in the sequels, I think really messed it up. Like, how do you do a worse job than the thousands of people that were just writing random novels taking place in the Star Wars universe? Like, you're a freaking big budget
Hubris.
studio. You
Well,
can't come up with one solid plot line.
Hubris.
Kathleen Kennedy even said this in an interview. She said, "Yeah, we have nothing to draw from. We have no books, no comic books, no nothing." It was a weird. I mean, you want to talk about taking a gigantic shit on the EU's head. This is what I'm talking
Right.
about. My apology, the apology that we need as fans,
Right.
Because they said whenever they don't just keep it quiet, they double down on shit too. Like I said, calling us toxic and everything like that.
I want
too.
to
But also to
know.
say that there's no. The expanded universe is huge, and I don't even pay attention to it. I'm an original trilogy guy only. That's all I pay attention to. I don't pay any of the other stuff. But to say that there's nothing, I mean, there's fucking comic books, there's books, there's
Yeah.
hundreds of shit.
And there's
novels.
stuff
To say
that's
there's
actually
nothing to draw from.
There's
Decades-
stuff that's
decades of novels.
award winning as well. I mean, the Thrawn novel series is seriously
Yeah.
award winning.
I don't like
and
those because they're too thrown out.
Oh,
I'm a dad.
And there's some stupid shit in the Thrawn
Proof right here.
series. There's definitely some like ridiculous. The problem is that they suffer from power level issues because they decided that Luke Skywalker is not allowed to die in the extended universe, right? That was a rule that George Lucas made when he opened up the fiction of his universe to be written by other people. And so as a result, people are like, well, we're still going to use Luke Skywalker, so he needs to do bigger and better things and continue to do bigger and better things because that's what will sell our stories. And as a result, by like the end of his, usefulness as a character, he's literally unstoppably immortal because you can't kill him and you got to put him in more and more dire situations.
Right.
So
Well,
it's a
just
weird
give me-
thing that happened.
Yeah, and I wanted a little taste of that in The Last Jedi. I wanted a little taste of ultra badass Master Jedi Luke.
Like
Right.
like
I
the one
wanted
we
to see
got.
him.
Yeah, where he
Yeah,
just
like-
walked in and fucking he crushes one of the dark
Dude, that's
Souls.
the best. That's
with
got
his
to be one of his
fucking
best
hand.
moves in the whole thing.
It
He's
was-
just like,
yeah.
like a tin can,
Well, it's
you
like
know?
after I talked
like
to
a
Perry
frat
about
boy
it,
at a party.
I went and rewatched it again and was able to appreciate it a little bit better and also really see what, because when I watched it, I was just kind of just like felt blank. You know what I mean? I was like, okay, well, I know this is Luke coming in. It's kind of how it felt to me. But it was cool. It's bad. It's the Luke it's the Luke we needed for The Last Jedi.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I don't disagree.
and we didn't get, and it's again, I'm glad they're doing this. I hope that for someone like myself, I hope they can fix it. It's tough though. It's tough for me. Like I said,
Well, do you know the so what I will say is that very quickly the Mandalorians as a faction, I guess, inside of the Star Wars universe have very quickly become the most interesting to me.
For sure.
And
The
it's
fact
not
that
just
there are the different factions is part of
Right.
what is so interesting.
They did such a
There's,
good
like,
job
different
at
kinds
this.
of
I mean, it's really interesting because it goes back to actually to Knights of the Old Republic. There's a whole thing. The Mandalorians are like they're the samurai culture, or they're not even the
Yeah,
samurais.
like Spartans. I
they're
always
like
consider them like
Spartans.
space
Maybe
Spartans.
Yeah, Spartans or Mongolians even. They're literally the warfare culture that like whenever they get their chance, they expand and conquer. And that's like what their lore was all the way through the expanded universe, right? To the point where in the Clone Wars, the big plot point is that like they kept getting in trouble and losing millions of people because they would expand and conquer, and then the Republic or whoever was in control of the galaxy would get mad, go to war with them, crush them, and then they'd have to start from scratch again. So that's why in the Clone Wars there's like a faction of them that are controlling Mandalore that are like pacifists, and then they get into their own civil war, and Bo-Katan is the like head of the non-pacifists that are like, no, we should return to our warrior roots. And then you like fast
Bo-Katan
forward.
is that one?
Yeah, she's the leader of the faction that's trying to usurp the throne from her sister, who's the pacifist. It's like really, it's like already
But
a really
she's still pretty
complicated thing.
passive compared to the Death Watch, which is where Mando comes from, right?
No. The Death Watch is Bo-Katan's thing, but you're right that Mando comes. Oh wait, no, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah,
She's called him a child of the Watch.
Yeah, you're right. No, the Death Watch is Din's
And they're
thing.
even more hardcore than she is.
Because they split off from the Mandalorians before the pacifism thing, back when they were a warrior culture, and so they have like the hardcore values where they were like extremists.
Yeah,
I think that's cool too when they point out in the show that like you're talking about. Sorry, I just got a text from Perry. That they're different. Like they think he's a religious extremist, you know, and they point that out because they take their helmets off and stuff. And like the Mandalorians that he meets on whatever, you know, or in season 1, and they're all the same as him when he goes.
Oh yeah, the ones that are in hiding with him.
They're exactly. They're the same as him. They have the same belief system.
Yeah, exactly. And it just
cool.
That's how you breathe life into a world, right? Like by making, and it's hard to do it well, but you have to make things a little bit messy in order for something to feel like a living, breathing world. And when they were like, "Oh my God, you're a fucking extremist," I was like, everything clicked for me. All the puzzle pieces fit back together because I was really confused about like what his whole shtick was. Like, why did he take his helmet off?
That makes it feel more grounded and real because that's how people are too. Not everyone is this. Not a whole planet
Especially
is not going to toe the
people.
line, right? Exactly. The whole planet's not just going to toe the line and be exactly alike. You're going to have people that feel differently about everything, and that was cool. I thought that was cool. I like that they did that with the characters.
And it's got to be an impossible task to do it with every single faction that exists in Star Wars because they just throw so much shit out there. It's a fantasy world, but you know,
but listen, even a fantasy world, and this is why the original films. I mean, fucking still talk about them. Created this whole fucking world, this whole religion, right? It's because it feels like it's grounded and based in reality somehow, even with all the ridiculous characters and you know, werewolves in a cantina.
That's true. Yeah, that's canon.
You know what I mean?
That is canon.
Yeah. So yeah, it still feels grounded in reality. There's this thing on Disney Plus that I watch more than I should probably, but it's called Empire of Dreams. It's the story of the original trilogy, the making of it stuff. But they talk about the Joseph Campbell stuff. They talk about how they, you know, the way it was designed. Ralph McQuarrie. They talk about how it was designed and to be a lived-in, real feeling world, and this makes all the difference in the world. You know, it's like but a couple years ago, I was wondering about this, why does Star Wars still work on the level it works on? And it's because of the studying of and using the Joseph Campbell Hero's Journey.
Yeah, and that's
every culture has that, right? It's just it's something that's happened naturally and organically. Yeah. So that's why it universally worked every fucking where.
Yeah, everybody, it's the human story. Every it's like a human thing to enjoy this.
Regardless of culture, even before we had connection by boats or now the internet and everything, you know what I mean? Before people start getting conquered, everyone had these myths. They were the same myths essentially, which is interesting, right? Same story. Yeah.
We're all cut from the same cloth, right? I mean, and that's what shows it, you know. Yeah. I mean, and I think that a thing that this has actually done really well, The Mandalorian, is that it is it's finally somebody telling a different story, even if it's not the most unique original story, just like a different thing inside of the context of the Star Wars universe. Because I've always the Red Letter Media guys, you know, who are obviously, you know, they're big fans of us. We're big fans of them.
Commentators.
Obviously, I mean, I look up to them. I think some of us do. But one of their big issues is that they don't know. One of the issues they take with Star Wars is they don't know where it should go from here. And I've always had a problem with that sentiment because Star Wars, like you just said, Daryl, it's like it was created to be a living, breathing world. And all that should mean as a writer is that it's a sandbox that you can play in. You don't have to figure out all of the high level bullshit. You just have to write an interesting story within the context of that universe, and you're going to be fucking swimming in gold. Because
it's interesting you mentioned that, because I totally agree with you. And I just finished season 3 of Cobra Kai. All 3 seasons of that show are fantastic. And yes, the acting of the kids is almost Disney level acting, right? It's
hit and miss.
It doesn't matter though, because the story that they're telling is so good, it supersedes any of the kind of cheesy stuff about the show, in my opinion. Like, there's some ridiculous karate fights that are over the top, but you fucking love it. I love it. I think the show is fantastic. Now, it's swimming in nostalgia too, so that's a big thing for me, because I love The Karate Kid. It's one of my favorite films. It's absolutely in my top 10. And I've seen it a bazillion times. But this show does exactly what Star Wars should have done, especially with these sequels, which is the rules are established of this world. Like you're saying, right? It's a sandbox. The rules are established pretty much. Just give us more of the same. You know what I mean? But what Cobra Kai does is they honor the old while they're bringing in the new. And then the stories mesh. It is brilliantly done. This Cobra Kai is doing exactly what fucking Star Wars should have done with the prequels or the sequels. Exactly. Instead of shitting on the old, destroying the old. So this goes back to my extreme passion about wanting my apology. And I want one from J.J. Abrams to that son of a bitch, because he killed off Han Solo before we got my. Well, and I actually I like J.J. Abrams very much as a filmmaker. I think he's a very talented guy. But and even though it was necessary to kill Han Solo, God damn it, we needed the reunion of Luke, Leia, and Han before he was killed. We had to have it, and we never got it. And then Carrie Fisher died in real life, so I will never get that. So fuck him for taking that away from me.
Yeah, and plagiarizing. He's a plagiarist. He plagiarized.
And I was even okay with that. I was even okay with that.
I
hated it.
I wasn't.
I have reasons as to why that's okay.
I forgive the last what the fuck was
Force
it called?
Awakens.
Oh, Force Awakens.
I forgive the Force Awakens of a lot of transgressions. I really liked that film. Ray bearing and Mary Sue, just basically a new Death Star. They blow up another fucking. They just make it bigger, right?
New Stormtroopers, new Empire. Yeah.
I totally hear you. I totally hear what you're saying. But it felt right, and emotionally it affected me, and I felt the nostalgia. I felt everything. So I bought all the shit that was wrong with it, and I forgave it. You know what I mean? That was my thing with Force Awakens. So
yeah, it wasn't until Last Jedi for me too when things really fell apart.
Well, that's when they became they became clearly bad. Yeah.
But my point being, though, don't destroy, don't kill off. I agree that Han Solo needed to die. I think that was a thematically, and what the fuck I'm trying to say here was the right decision.
Hey, Perry.
I should have gotten my.
Perry's in the chat.
Huh?
Hey, Perry.
Oh, hi, Perry.
Hey.
I should have got my reunion first, and I didn't fucking get it, and that's what really pisses me off. And say, so JJ did that, right? Because he killed off Han Solo before I got my reunion, and we get a Luke and Leia thing in The Last Jedi, but The Last Jedi spent so much time shitting on every fucking thing that meant nothing to me. You know what I mean? And it wasn't even fucking. It was Luke's Force ghost or whatever the hell it was. It was his Force projection.
Yeah. Well, and can
now
I
I'm
just
really
say,
mad.
I can just say that the sequels
Piss myself off again.
even on a basic like mass appeal general audience, just on that scale alone, it still failed. They're actually just bad movies too. Like, I'll tell you, the acid test for me, getting back to the show, my parents, they're 67 and 65 years old, and they know nothing about Star Wars, like really almost nothing.
Are they okay?
And they could go in blank to the the sequels, and they didn't have a good time, just because they didn't like it. They thought it was kind of boring. I remember my mom leaving the theater after I think it was The Last Jedi, and she just said it was boring. Like, she wasn't mad about anything. She's not a Star Wars nerd. She just thought it was boring. And I'll tell you what, over Christmas, we binged Mando season 1 and season 2, and I had to talk them into it, because they were like, "Nah, no, I'm not like Star Wars." Like, they're like, I'm not a nerd like you. And so
wow,
my dad basically said that. He's like, I'm not a big.
Awesome.
He said, I'm not a big, techie. I mean, Becky, it's Star Wars.
It's basically like Greek mythology, but in the future.
Yeah, but
It's
like
space opera.
he doesn't want to hear it.
Mhm.
So I was like, but it did sell him, which is, I know that Daryl, you're not the biggest fan of this. But what sold him was, I said it was a space Western.
I said the same thing to my
which
dad.
It is. And
Which it
the
is.
Western thing made him perk up a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on, give it a chance. And season 1, and for them, right, because they're the general audience. They're the general audience. They know nothing about Star Wars. Season 1, they liked it a lot. They really enjoyed it, and it did get them hooked in. But season 2 is when they started asking me questions about the Mandalorians, and then they started having debates with each other about like, right, they're very conservative Christian, right, and they're also huge like theology people with the Bible, so they're starting to like compare the Mandalorian factions to like different kinds of like Israelites.
That's
in the Bible.
That's amazing.
I fucking love. This is why I love Star Wars.
Yeah, and so they're like, oh well, the Death Watch is like these kinds of Israelites who stuck true to the law of the right.
Yeah.
They're like the so and so Israelites who were more loosey goosey with the rules, and I loved it, man. I did I had to force them into it, or kind of nudge them in the right direction. But then by the time season 2 happened, it's like they were so into it. They were having discussions with each other. I would leave to go use the bathroom or something. I'd come back and they'd like be in full scale discussion mode over the last episode that they just
Well, that's
stopped.
beautiful. That's everything that it needs to be then.
It's amazing to
So
me.
it works.
It's
If you're
amazing
not
to me
a
that
Star
you
Wars
had
person, it
the.
still works.
Yeah.
It's amazing to me that you had the exact same experience, almost, that I did with my parents, because we did the same thing.
For Christmas?
Over Christmas. Yeah, when I was visiting my parents for Christmas, I was like, they were like watching Antiques Roadshow or something, and I was like,
love that
yeah,
show.
love that show.
Fucking love
Antiques
that
Roadshow is
Hell
great,
yeah.
but I was like,
I
guys,
love that show.
we should watch The Mandalorian, and they were like, man, you make us watch anime with you all the time. Like, I don't know if I'm.
You're a bad son.
Yeah.
You're a
And
bad
so,
That's a line they'll never cross.
well, I buy my mom every year for Christmas. I buy her Miyazaki films, and we sit and watch them. My mom really likes Miyazaki films.
Well,
but my
Miyazaki
dad-
films are amazing.
No, I know they're great, but my dad thinks they're boring because, like it or not, Miyazaki films are actually really geared towards how to be a powerful woman. Like almost every Miyazaki film is.
Yeah, he always has powerful female characters in his movies. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Always
so
has.
my mom, like, that really rings true for my mom, who's like, oh, this is so great, like Spirited Away. Oh, she's trying to figure out like all her stuff. And my dad's like, what's this girl doing? I don't come on. But so again, they also had they were very skeptical, and then I also played the space western angle.
Yeah.
And they really liked the movie Serenity.
That's good.
I didn't have the heart to tell them that Firefly only got 9 episodes, but
Yeah, do it. Break their heart.
But they're like, oh, it's gonna be like, oh, I mean, that was a really good movie. Okay, cool. We'll watch an episode. And this was my moment. Was we watched one episode, and it was like 5 p.m. or something, and my dad was like, all right, we'll watch the next one. We watched the next one. Okay, I guess we better watch the next one. Suddenly it's like 10 o'clock at night. My parents go to sleep at 9 p.m. Like when Antiques Roadshow is off the air, they're in bed.
I am your parents.
And so
You're just parents, Dad.
We
exactly.
we watched all of season 1 in one sitting. And they thought the first episode was a movie, by the way. So they got
Really?
to the end of it,
Oh,
and they're
wow.
like, that's it? And I was like, no.
Well,
There's a
9
lot more. And they're like, all right, let's fucking watch it. We
I'll give
watched
the
all
show-
of season 2 the next day in that entirety. So we literally binged both seasons in one sitting.
I'll give the show that it's very digestible, right? And the episodes are not too long. Even the long ones don't feel too long. So it's good for that. And that's actually cool to know that people who are not Star Wars fans can watch it and enjoy it. This is again why I love Star Wars so much.
And not only not Star Wars fans, but generationally speaking,
Yeah.
too. It's a massively broad audience.
I still hate the fucking music though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know
I
what,
was
man?
I was gonna
I
talk
saw-
about this. At
Just
one
I
point.
saw a meme the other day that was like, oh, everyone's praising Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni for how great they are with the show, but no one's praising, and I forget the composer's name, so-and-so
Swedish dude.
composer for how amazing the
It's
music
shitty
is.
music.
And I was like, it's not
Terrible.
amazing. It's
Terrible
okay.
movie.
I think the main theme
If
like the
Shelly's
main
there,
Mando
hi
theme
Shelly.
is not bad.
Mandalorian.
It's not amazing, but like the main Mandalorian, I don't know what you would call it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Hero's March or whatever they call it.
Yeah,
But that
that's
one's
not-
good.
That's
I
not
hate
bad.
the fucking the desert.
I hate the rest of
food,
it
whatever
though.
that
Yeah,
was.
or hate's
It's-
a strong word. I don't hate it, but
I don't hate it either, but
it's
it is a
completely
terrible.
unmemorable.
I can't believe that guy won an award. When they announced that he won an
because everybody loves
award
the show
for
so
his
much,
score, I was like, "Are you kidding me? The score for that TV show won an award. It's unforgettable. There's two motifs.
Forgettable.
It's just like this guy, and it's so bare bones too, and it
Man.
works as It works as a western. It works as the music for a western, but
yeah.
but you don't need a lot of music for a western. You need
Well, and that's
you need the hero march when they're going riding on their horses, and that's it. You don't need anything else.
This is back to
Well,
my
you also
complaint
need the
about-
standoff music. The
Which is
This also-
what the main theme is, which is
I know.
weird.
It
This
is
is also
weird.
my complaint about deviating too much from the formula. The formula is John and Williams style music. That is fucking Star
It's been
Wars.
in
It helped make
Rogue
Star Wars.
One
Star Wars
and
would not be
Solo.
Star Wars without that music. So
Mhm.
that's one of the things you don't deviate from. You know, you don't have to totally rip off his themes or anything, but you keep that style the same because that is Star Wars. I get it; it's a Star Wars show and blah 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 blah. But these are the rules of Star Wars, and it's that style of music.
Well,
And
I
some
mean,
things you don't
yeah,
deviate from, in my
there are
opinion.
things that will definitely stand out. I didn't actually hate the music of the show or dislike the music of the show as much as you guys.
It
It didn't
irritates
really
me every time I
register
hear
with
it.
me. But I will say that if there was ever like an electric guitar riff in a Star Wars media, it would be awful. Like it would stand out like a sore thumb. So
Yeah.
to your credit, yeah, I
What
absolutely.
if Hans
like-
Zimmer was playing it? I saw a video the other day on YouTube of Hans Zimmer playing guitar. I had no idea he's rocking some. They're showing his different themes, and I think it was for Tenet or something. But he's playing guitar, and I was like, God, this
Oh,
guy's
wow.
amazing. Oh yeah, he's
Yeah,
you know,
Daryl never
that's
complains about anything, Perry. It's
Never.
it's hard for
Yeah.
us to go to him.
Poor Perry, right? He calls me the other night and he's like, "Hey, you sound good. You sound good." And then he asked me about Star Wars, and I was feeling good. This fucking asshole asked me about Star Wars and fucks everything up for me. My whole day's ruined. Again, on one of my tirades.
Well, look, I
Mother
mean,
Perry.
the Clone Wars has great music,
It
Does
does.
and
it does.
the Clone Wars TV show has great music because it's in the style of John Williams. And the
Yeah.
few episodes I've seen of Star Wars Rebels has good music because it is borrowing on the template or the format,
Even
the John Williams style.
Even the
So
old
it's not-
canon, people don't violate that. It's an interesting thing to bring up because people don't violate that. I mean, like all the old canon, the games and things like that, they all have variations on themes if they're related, or they just have brand new stuff that still feels John Williamsy.
Yeah. A great example of
so-
this is actually, and I wish they would pull from this more, but I want them to pull from the games more because the games have so much to offer. But Battlefront 2 did a really, really good job of showing what happened exactly after the explosion of the second Death Star. Because you actually play Iden Versio, who is a I can't remember what
We're
they're
talking
called.
about the new Battlefront 2, not
gonna
the
say,
Battlefront
not
2,
the
yeah,
old
the
one.
501st.
The,
Yeah.
the 501st
501st.
though also has an amazing thing, which I'll talk about in a second. But I'll let
Yeah.
Dan
Wait,
finish
are
this
there
point.
chunks of the Death Star laying in the water?
No, actually.
Like a
They
little-
saved that for
You
the
have to
movie.
take a little
thank God.
sailboat,
They
Yeah.
surf
yeah,
some waves.
there's literally it's
Surf the
amazing.
current to get to
Danon's
the Death
right.
Star?
There's a moment where the character you're
no.
playing as, who's like this Imperial commando, looks up in the sky and the Death Star explodes, and she's just like,
Oh shit.
dude, that's command.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh fuck,
It's pretty
what do we
crazy.
do?
It's
I like-
really crazy like playing that because you're actually fighting the rebels on Endor as they're trying to take over the moon. And then it stops the action and it plays a cutscene where Iden Versio looks up into the sky and the Death Star explodes. And they're like, well, now what do we do?
Now
And
what do
so
we
she
do?
has
They're
to,
like,
she
"Oh,
has to
we just
rendezvous with her father,
lost."
who's a commander on one of the Star Destroyers. And then he gets the what's the Operation Cinder, which is to
Where they're
destroy
supposed to
half
destroy everything.
of the Imperial planets that are still loyal to the Empire, to instill fear into the Empire to keep it together.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
this is
basically,
delivered after Emperor Palpatine dies. This is like
He
his
didn't
plan.
die,
If he
okay?
if he gets.
He's never dead.
Okay, well
Right.
he did.
Been
He
on
did
Stupid
to
that he
me.
had a
Okay, he did to
contingency
me.
plan
Yeah.
because
I've
he was
been,
obviously never gonna die. He was a clone.
I've been growing fucking whatever that guy was.
Snokes.
I've been
Snoke.
growing
There's
Snoke.
in the old
Growing
Star Wars.
Snoke was playing the Mohawk.
That's a great name for a band.
In the old Battlefront 2, this was before the Clone Wars, so they've changed some stuff up in the canon where the clones all had like chips, which is what caused them to turn on the Jedi.
Order 66, bitch.
Yeah, Order 66. But
Yeah.
in the old canon, Battlefront 2 actually I thought was much deeper or richer as far as like how the clones actually felt about it, because there's you play as the 501st, which is, you know, a callback to the big company of people that dress up as
Hugely
stormtroopers,
famous.
the
Huge
cosplayers. But basically they got the orders for Order 66, which meant that they were the ones that were sent to the Jedi Temple to go exterminate all the Jedi there. And the like narrator gives this monologue beforehand, where he says, you know, I wish I could tell you how we felt when we received those orders. I wish I could tell you how we felt when we burnt down the temple. But honestly, all I remember is how quiet it was. All of the death and destruction that we were about to reap, all of like the restructuring and killing the Jedi and, you know, killing the people that we've served with. We all knew about it and it weighed heavy on us, but nobody spoke a word. We just went in and did as we were told. And I thought that was like so much more powerful, that like these soldiers are just following orders and massacring the Jedi.
Marines,
yeah, they're just soldiers. They're doing what they were born to do, which is follow orders. They didn't, at least in the old canon, they didn't need chips in their brain. They were just doing what the brass told them to do, which was exterminate the Jedi. And I thought that was a way more powerful way to go about explaining how the clones could turn on the Jedi, you know, all 80 of them or whatever.
And this is a crazy thing too, because there's huge parallels to world history in Star Wars, especially with the Empire. I mean, Darth Vader's helmet is modeled after the German stormtrooper helmets from World War II. And so this again is one of those parallels to the extermination of, I guess, the concentration camps. Because that's what a lot of German soldiers said that they were doing. Like, oh, no, we didn't want to do this, but we had to because we're following orders. You know, that's
it's the same thing with it's the same thing with the Soviet troops. Actually, it's a really interesting case study. But the decimations that happened in Soviet Russia during World War II, which the decimations, they were literally like reduced by 1/10. But what they would do is they would make the soldiers actually execute one of their own. Like if any companies were like starting to get rebellious and not want to follow orders, because they were all conscripts forced into war, right? What the commanding officers would do was make them kill 1/10 of their own troops, so that basically, like, okay, if you don't want to kill, you can be the one that gets killed. But if you are the one that kills, then you're complicit in all this. Like, you don't get to just walk away. Like, you're a murderer. You just killed your friend. And so it was like how they held order within the Soviet things. It's also brutal, but it's like when you force soldiers to do things, like, it's really easy for them to be like, well, we were following orders. That's what they made us do, you know, and try to hand wave their guilt.
I heard all the clones, they renounced their wishes at the same time during Order 66 and saved the universe.
If only. If only Commander Cody didn't betray Obi-Wan Kenobi and shoot at him.
I heard that Luke put his golden lasso of truth around that one guy's leg.
Can we swap and talk about?
I was gonna say, I
went straight to Wonder Woman in 1984. What a shit heap that was. Go ahead.
I like in the show that they actually talk about the Death Stars, like both getting blown up, because there's that one scene where the dude's like, "Oh, I see you're kind of towards the end of the season," when he's like got the gun to the cloner's head.
That was cool. That was cool too.
And
how many people
like
died on that Death Star?
Talking about Alderaan.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, and then she makes a joke about the Death Star blowing up twice. And she's like, do you know that like millions of people died on both those Death Stars each time, and the entire rest of the world was happy about it? About like millions of us dying.
Hey, you all cheered while all of my friends died.
Yeah.
Millions of people, all my friends died. That's interesting. Because
all the minute Yeah, it was cool they made the reference. Yeah.
You
Hi,
never
Shelly.
hear him talk about the fact that many people died, which is
Apparently, I'm making Shelly feel old. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, you should
What?
try being older.
Wait,
Should try
who's
being
Shelly? Who?
also-
Our Shelly?
Yeah, our
Our
Shelly.
Shelley.
Oh, okay.
but also that Bill Burr episode.
Your Shelly or my
But Bill
Shelly? How
Burr,
about
I was
that?
gonna
Your
say,
Shelley.
man, Bill Burr.
Perry Shelly.
Honestly,
Perry Shelley.
I did
'Cause
not
you were
know
talking
that
about
Bill.
Operation Cinder, which they make mention of in the.
They do make mention
Wait,
of
they
that.
do.
because-
Oh my God, they do. Yeah, because Operation Cinder. I don't know where it came
That's
from
what caused
originally.
Bill Burr to leave the Empire, and also, I guess, quit comedy.
Bill Burr.
Yeah, and
Bill
he,
Burr
like,
does such a good job. He
Okay.
has no
Yankee
right to
Django
be as good
Unchained.
as he is.
So here's when they first brought Bill Burr in. Was he in season 1?
He was in season 1 during
Yeah.
the prison break.
I didn't like him at all in
It
season
was.
1.
I did not like it at all, and I hated that he referenced Canto Bite. That pissed me off so much. I was like, "Oh man, this legitimizes the fucking sequels."
I had to.
But in this, he was
Oh.
good.
Season
He was
one.
really good
Yeah.
in season 2. Really good in season 2. Because it was
Mhm.
really weird seeing him. It wasn't weird seeing him in Breaking Bad because I didn't really know who he was yet. You know,
He
Oh.
worked.
But now I know
he
him as
worked really
Bill-
well in
Breaking
Breaking Bad.
he was great in Breaking Bad. But now I know him as Bill Burr the comedian. I've seen him his live show action one time was fantastic. But so now I know he's Bill Burr to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Well, also
to see him in this really threw me off. But he was great in season 2.
He was
fit
great in season
better.
2. I think season 1, his ensemble didn't do him any favors. Like, I love Clancy Brown. I didn't think
Mhm.
Clancy Brown was good in season 1 at all either. He shouldn't.
I
have been
thought the rest of the
Was
Goon
that Clancy?
Squad was
Qu-
not
Let me
very
see.
good.
the devil
The
man.
Deveronian.
Oh, okay. The
Yeah, that was Clancy
Deveronian.
Brown.
That's a terrible name for a
I like Clancy Brown, but he was distracting because
Yeah.
I'm just like Mr. Krabs.
Yeah.
Whatever, dude. You're not that scary.
That's like,
Mr.
where's the
Krabs."
money, boy? Yeah.
You know, and the Twi'lek girl who was
Yeah.
had a romance with Mando. I don't understand how they had a romance with him. He
Mando
can't take his
seems
helmet
like he's-
off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing that. you
Yeah,
know?
like that was stupid to even imply that they used to have a fling. How? Guys, how does that like whatever?
That is a
So-
D helmet ever.
Yeah, you don't
Could
need
you
helmets for
imagine?
nobody, especially no
Yeah.
skank ass Twi'lek. You know,
Twi'lek.
Yeah.
Oh
no
my God.
noodle-headed bitch is gonna get his
Dude,
helmet
bitch
off.
is gonna de-helmet Mando.
That's
You know what I'm
right.
saying? So I didn't like his on. You know, and I'm only thinking about this because I had to rewatch. I rewatched season 1 too with my parents as well. So like it's fresh in my mind. I'm like, that was so stupid. All of them were dumb. When you get rid of them and it's just Bill Burr and then the main cast,
Yeah.
it worked really well.
Mhm.
And they
Yeah.
should have
Oh,
done that
yeah.
the whole time.
No, and his whole thing too. Like they did a really good, they did a really just good thematic thing where he's like, yeah, well, we all got to sleep at night, and then he talks to the guy, he reveals why he left the Empire.
That was cool.
To the captain,
All that stuff was cool.
kills him. They escape barely, and
Yeah.
then he Din looks over at friggin' Bill Burr, and he's like, "What the fuck was that?" And he just goes, "We all got to sleep at night." And I was like, "Oh, what a way to just wrap it all up! What a
Yeah.
beautiful."
And
what
I
a
don't remember the line is
Oh.
either, but when he points out that, hey, I always like to see what people's limits are. You know what I mean? Because he knows Mando's gonna pull his helmet off sooner or later. He has to.
Oh, dude, that
But
was
he's-
great.
you know, Because even though
Where he's-
Mando says, yeah, never takes his helmet off, but he do it for Grogu. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that
I
is
like
one-
that he brought up the exactly what I was thinking when I was watching it the first time, where he's like, okay, so what's the deal? Is it that you can't take your helmet off ever, or you just can't show your face?
yeah,
Like, what is it? Your rules are kind
Oh
of
yeah, and he's wearing like a different stormtrooper.
your rules just kind of change whenever you need them to change. And I like that instead of glossing past that fact, the show actually addresses it and turns it back on the character.
And who better to do it than Bill fucking Burr,
course,
the
yeah. Of course
comedian
he would.
that pulls the mask off of every little
Yeah,
thing that
he's always
society does.
dissecting.
right, yeah.
Don't you think the Catholic Church went too far?
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
also has shed some good commentary on the whole New Republic versus Empire debacle of like basically these people on this planet don't really care who we are or who's occupying because someone's always kind of occupying this place.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is I think a fair point. They're just constant. The galaxy's constantly
Yeah.
in war.
Well, there's other. I appreciate that the Mandalorian is doing this because there are plenty of other things, especially in the games too, where the extended universe media has actually asked these questions and like come up with similar answers. So it feels like Mandalorian is finally pulling from that. Like there's a great moment where in one of the games you're a Jedi, you go to this planet and everybody sees your lightsaber and basically shuns you. And you're like, what the fuck? I'm a Jedi. I'm a good guy. You guys should be on my side. And they're like,
Italian now.
yeah, exactly.
You're not a good guy. You just go
Jedi.
handle trade disputes.
Well, right. Well, their whole thing is they're like, man, fuck it. The dark Jedi used to, like conquered this planet, and now the good Jedi are conquered this planet. And like every time we look around, there's some motherfucker with a laser sword who's telling us how we got to live our lives.
I love they call them laser swords.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
You're so young. You're so young, Anakin.
Well,
He notices laser swords. I'll tell you what, that kid does.
Yeah,
In
I mean,
between
I just
building his C-3PO in his back room.
I love a world where the crazy shit that's happening in the main storyline has implications to the general population, because that seems to be glossed over a lot, where it's just like, you guys just caused thousands of people to have to go to war. They cannot be happy about the fact that they were thrown into a conflict they weren't involved in because your stupid hero ass journey was
right. This show's really good of showing what has happened to the Empire after the loss of leadership, because it makes sense, right? Like it wouldn't just completely, everybody wouldn't just go, well, I guess we'll all go our own ways. It would still exist
now.
Yeah, it would still exist. The Empire would still exist, and other people would step in. That's what always happens, right? You know, just because you cut the head off this whole cut the head of the snake thing. Well, something that large, you cut off the head of the snake. There's another snake head's gonna roll in. You know,
Gideon's and the what's his name from the first season, who were just they're basically like warlords and whatever.
Well, they also made mention of Thrawn, which I mean,
they do in the Ahsoka episode.
That
one was
one
straight up kung fu episode.
It was kind of cool.
It was just the whole thing was like an episode of kung fu.
It was a kung fu mixed with a spaghetti western where they had that standoff. They're both staring at each other while Ahsoka and the girl with the freaking pole are fighting.
Beskar staff.
With the Beskar staff. And he's like, they're both just guns at the hip while there's a kung fu battle happening behind them. I was like, this is the most this is the cheesiest bullshit, and I'm so in.
I'm so into it though.
I want to talk about that episode really quick. So this is when it really started to kick off for me, was the Ahsoka Tano thing. And I never really watched Rebels or Clone Wars, so Ahsoka Tano was just something I always saw in memes, basically.
Yeah,
I knew that she was Anakin's Padawan, right?
Yeah.
This is episode 5.
Yeah, and so
felt like it was longer.
When they show her in the Mandalorian season 2, that was a great introduction because I knew who she was. I knew she had the dual white lightsabers, and so when you see them flash out of the mists on that planet, I was like, oh, I know exactly who this is. This is Ahsoka Tano, and they do such a good job of introducing her, and the visuals in that episode are incredible. She looks great. Rosario Dawson looks fantastic.
I don't know nothing about the character, but she was great at it.
Yeah. It was great. And so this brings me to my next thing.
Oh yeah.
Well, go ahead because I'm about to go into a different.
All right. Well, did anyone notice? Is it? I haven't looked it up. Is it it's the same planet from The Last Jedi, right? That's where not The Last Jedi. Rise of Skywalker. That's the same planet
where the Sith holocron is, right?
Yeah. Right.
So
they don't outright say that, but it is. Those guys look the same.
I don't know.
Oh, you're talking about in the very beginning?
The very beginning of the Rise of Skywalker, the first scene
when Kylo Ren
is slicing through
people?
those dudes.
Yeah.
It's the same dudes that Ahsoka Tano is slicing through on the same planet.
I think those. Yeah, I don't know.
They're the same guys, and it's the same it's the same planet too.
It looks very similar.
I swear.
I don't know.
I didn't pick up on that. So
although if
you've out-nerded me.
If MP Palps shows up in season 3, I'm fucking out. I'm done.
I don't think they're gonna.
Snoke is in season 2. That's what I was gonna say. Well, I don't want to let Danon say what he's gonna say.
Wait.
Go ahead, Danon.
Snoke is okay. All right, we'll come back to the theories. We'll come back to our theories.
Okay. All
right. So one thing that The Mandalorian is an incredible looking show. The visual effects for a TV show like this they're very hard to parallel. It's incredible. Especially that episode where Bill Burr is in season 2. All of those explosions and the CG looks incredible. And when they're fighting, actually fighting on those whatever the sets that they built are.
Except for Luke's face, yeah.
Except for Luke's face, yeah. Go back to the YouTube deepfake artists that are doing it correctly. But one of the reasons that is because of new technology, and I love this because I'm a fucking nerd. So I mean, everybody knows, like, for the most part, it's usually green screen, right? Usually you're up against a green screen, and so this green is a very specific shade of green that's very hard to replicate naturally, so it's easy to key out in post-production. You just grab that color and replace it with a background, and then you fine-tune it. What they did in The Mandalorian is actually use a video game engine called Unreal Engine 4, and they're doing all of their environments in real time, and they're able to project these environments in a sphere around their talent. And what this is doing is, for one, you don't have to key anything out. You don't have to do a green screen replacement in post or anything like that, because everything is being shot in real time. And what this really helps with is reflections. So this is why the Mandalorian's armor looks so good all the time, because that Beskar is shiny as fuck. And so imagine going through and having to key out the little green spots on his armor. Impossible. And filling it in with warped backgrounds. Impossible. And so actually, like this is, and I'll play this over on the live stream over my own face. It's muted. But it's a little video that kind of shows how they did it. But they have these giant wraparound screens that are running Unreal Engine 4 with all these very, very high detailed assets. And so when the camera moves, the environments move. And there are these giant LED walls that, you know, we can shoot everything in real time, and everything moves according to depth and camera placement.
You get the parallax effect.
You get this parallax effect that looks incredible, and it's lighting everything well. So you can actually just use these giant LED screens that are displaying, they're basically giant TVs that are displaying these images, are lighting your subject correctly, because that's what the environment's going to be in the end.
The environment's lighting them properly. Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, so it's like
crazy.
It's pretty much as close as you can actually get to being there without actually being there. It's as close as we can get digitally to something like this. And this is actually created for The Mandalorian. And right now it's being used commercially and stuff like that, but ILM actually created this technology to premiere with The Mandalorian, and it looks incredible, and I couldn't figure out how they were doing it in the first few episodes. Because that first episode on that ice planet, when the Mando's looking for that bounty, it is incredible. Like when he steps out on the ice, I was like, this looks better than the Avengers movies. Like, how the fuck are they doing this? And that's how. They're doing it all in real time and on set, so they don't have to do anything afterwards. So
that's impressive.
Just
I didn't know that.
Quick little aside, I think stuff like that, like advances in technology, are insane.
Yeah.
Because one of my huge pet peeves is the amount of goddamn CGI in the Avengers movies, and it's so obvious and no one knows. It's like,
it's
guys,
boring.
It's not that
everybody's
obvious.
wearing a CG suit. What happened to the real Spider-Man from the first two reboots that they did? Those looked amazing. And then you have Tom Holland in this skin-tight leotard that you can buy at Hot Topic. Fuck that, dude. No, give me something
it's
real.
distracting.
God.
Yeah, it can be. I want to go back to Snoke though.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing, if someone because we're live, if someone in the chat wants to look this up, because I'm too lazy, is that the same planet? I swear it is. I'm like 95% sure that strange planet that Ahsoka is fighting on is the same planet from the.
Is that the home of MP Palps?
Well, I don't know.
No, it's not the home of MP
Where the
Palps.
holocron is when Kylo Ren flies.
You're right. When he gets the holocron, you're right. So he can go to.
And those guys that Kylo Ren cuts down, the same dudes.
So he can GPS to MP Palps' house.
Yeah.
So it's called Malachor, is the planet.
Whoa! Hold on. What?
It's called Malachor. That's the name of the planet.
Are you serious?
Yeah. What are we uncovering here? What's happening?
Is it the same planet?
This is in Knights of the Old Republic 2.
Oh, what?
Okay, no.
You actually go here.
Yeah, Malachor 5 is where the warrior race of the Mandalorians got crushed in a battle with Revan. They used a super weapon to destroy the planet. So if they called that planet Malachor, that would have blown my fucking mind.
All right.
It does not appear. No. This isn't the same planet. It doesn't appear in the Mandalorian.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna do a side by side later for my own satisfaction, because those dudes in the weird gas masky thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? They look the same.
I think
it's a planet of Corvus.
But my other thing was Snoke. I think that Snoke is actually in the Mandalorian. I think we actually see his clone body. Do you remember towards the? They raid that facility. They don't actually know what the facility is. They think it's just a regular Imperial base. But the one dude's a cloner, right, which they make mention of multiple times in the show, that the one dude with the glasses, he's a cloner and he's trying to harness the blood from Grogu because he's force sensitive. I think what they're alluding to when they go into that room after they figure out it's a cloning facility and they see a shadowy body. They see a bunch of bodies. Do you remember the scene I'm talking about? Anyone?
Actually.
I know exactly. Yeah,
Which
it's when
episode
they
is this?
raid the
It's-
facility on the lava planet that
Yeah, it's Carl
that Rebel
Weathers.
Girls and Carl Weathers are from.
It's Carl Weathers. It's what's her name? Who's it's like a marshal.
Gina Carano.
Yeah, it's her. It's Mando. And they go to this thing, they raid it up, and they see there's all these glass containers with bodies in them. And it's a cloning facility. And they look like the Snoke bodies that we see again in Rise of Skywalker on that
What is
planet.
the purpose
where,
of cloning Snoke?
because they and this is what I'm trying to say. They're trying to make a force sensitive. I'm just talking in my ass.
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
They're trying to make a force sensitive clone being. That's why they need Grogu. Because Grogu's blood, they're trying to make a clone that can be force sensitive using Grogu's blood.
Yeah.
And I think that ends up being Snoke. Says me.
I mean,
And that's why you see these things those bodies, they look like Snoke, like failed aborted Snoke clones, you know.
So I don't want to disappoint you, but it's actually not Corvus that it's
crestfallen.
Yeah, it's not Corvus that Kylo Ren is mowing those people down. But I don't know that particular scene where they discover those things is going to end up being Snoke. I think that was supposed to be like a seed for season 3 and 4, probably.
Well, I do agree that it's a seed for future seasons, but I think that in the future seasons we're going to find out that they bioengineered
bodies Snoke, and that's what led
in the
to
cloning facility. Well, because we already know that Snoke is a clone, right? Because we already know that he's a clone. Because in the Rise of Skywalker, we see there's a shit ton of clone of like failed Snoke clones in they look the same. They're in the little glass cases.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
I just watched the first part of Rise of Skywalker the other day, and it's the same thing. He goes to that planet, he gets that fucking GPS triangle.
So the GPS cube planet is actually Mustafar.
Is it Mustafar?
Is it Mustafar? Okay.
Yeah, where for those of you in the audience that don't know, that's where Anakin and Obi-Wan have their final battle. It's the lava planet.
That's
And
where
whereas
Darth
the
Vader's
Hydra was
fortress is.
Yeah,
It's also where Darth Vader makes his fortress because
that's where Darth Vader has his
castle actually.
bachelor pad, his stabbing
bachelor pad. With his hot tub.
He just needs to be careful he doesn't choke on his aspirations, okay?
Yeah.
What's that? Yeah.
Yeah, well, when you're in
What's
a
that
freaking full body suit and you have a respirator, the first thing you want to
baby.
do is live on a planet with like nothing but fumes in the air.
You meant, hey baby, come to my back to tank.
Yeah.
No,
Like a hot tub. It's like a hot tub.
Yeah, what would Apple Weather say about the air quality on that planet? I wonder.
Oh man.
But that's my big fan theory for future seasons.
Snoke is going to be the big bad of Mandalorian.
Well, I'm not even saying that Snoke is going to be the big bad guy. I'm just saying that because the thing is with Rise of Skywalker, they never actually they never told you what Snoke was or how he came to be or what the relation is to Palpatine. They never told you. They never.
That's true.
So you're saying we're going to meet the original Snoke, the non-clone
We're going to find
Snoke.
out how Snoke is able to use the Force.
His name's Jon Snoke.
Jon Snoke.
He's a bastard of Winterfell.
Because
There we
Snoke
go.
is a force wielder who is a clone. How is that?
I wonder if that's just
and I think that's because that's where Grogu comes in.
Oh,
they're gonna harness
I see what you're
Grogu's
saying.
blood, which they said they were doing.
I see what you're saying. You know, I want to say something really quick though. I like how they say that they talk about harvesting Grogu's blood, but they don't call it midichlorians. Thank you
They
for
don't.
never using the M word.
Don't need to
Don't
go
use
down
that.
that rabbit hole again.
Yeah.
I wish
But
they did. I
they
love
still
Oh well, they do.
acknowledge the canon.
They say M count though. I mean, that's basically acknowledging.
They do?
They do.
They do.
I
They
know,
say
but they don't actually
Grogu
say
has
the
a high
word.
M count.
Oh, that's midichlorians. They just didn't want to use the word.
Yeah, well, they knew that it was triggering
They
for Daryl.
They pulled the wool over my eyes.
I'll never forget. Danon, 8 years old. I think you're 8 years old, right?
Oh, yeah.
Everything happened when you were 8 years old, by the way. The same with my stories. And we're watching that, and when he sucks out young Anakin's blood, and he's looking at the midichlorians, I'm like, what the fuck is this?
And then he
shit?
sends the mini chlorian count to Obi-Wan, and he's, oh, it's off the charts.
Yeah, shit,
Like,
that's
what?
crazy.
There's a mini chlorian chart too.
He never checked out Luke's midichlorians. He just took his
Yeah.
midichlorians for granted or for granted.
That's
apple
right.
tea.
For granite. Yeah.
Midichlorians.
All right. Is there anything else we
man.
want to hammer out on this pig?
No, I think this is Hammered Pig.
Yeah, this
hammered.
pig got hammered, man.
Cool.
Yeah.
All
Cheers to
right.
that.
Well, that's man. Well, let's give our ratings of. I feel like we kind of covered all of Mandalorian, so let's do season 1 and 2 separate. So I'll give my rating for season 1, and this is kind of all over the place, I realize, but for season 1, I'd probably give it like a 6. Like it was a service. What I really liked about it, and Ben, you had a good, or I think it was Jeremy had a really good point. It's like you can tell other Star Wars stories that don't have to do a whole lot with the Empire. Like it really doesn't have to do a whole lot with the Empire. It's fine. You can.
Yeah.
This world has been created for you to play in. So they do a good job of doing that. We're putting Perry to sleep. God damn you.
Well, then go to
Um,
sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go to sleep.
fuck you.
You don't have to
Yeah.
listen to us.
Bastard.
Yeah, you used to stay up till like mid. It's
Go to
like,
bed.
It's like 7 o'clock over there. So I'd give season 1 a 6, and then the first half of season 2 I'd give it like a 3. I was really, really not on board with the first half of season 2. I was very, very tired of the formula, and then we meet Ahsoka Tano, and then from there it just picks up. And I'd probably give it like a 7 or an 8. Yeah, 7 or 8.
Gotcha.
It's pretty solid TV at that point. It's pretty good. So that's all.
All right, who's next?
I mean, I don't think that I can really. I wouldn't split them up into 2 different ratings. I think that there's some ups and lows throughout, or highs and lows throughout the whole series.
Ups and lows.
Ups and lows. Or
Overs and
highs and
unders.
downs, as
Yeah.
they say.
Highs and
yeah,
downs.
that-
I was gonna say.
it's common saying.
Everybody's saying it. I would, on
Kids.
average, I think it's an 8. I think it has some dips in quality. I think that there are some points that are literally like a 10 out of 10 for me. So on average, I would give this an 8. I think it's absolutely something, especially if you're a fan of Star Wars like me. Watch it. I mean, you won't be disappointed.
Yeah.
Sure.
Jeremy.
Well, okay, so if we're talking about season 1, I did rewatch season 1, like I said recently, and I think I liked it better than the first time I watched it. That being said, there's just too much of the episodic crap going on, where it's like a villain of the week thing, almost sort of situation. So probably the first season, I would give it like a 6.5. You know, the last 2 episodes of the first season are really good. But overall, it's like a 6.
You want to know why? Taika Waititi directed the last episode of the first season.
That's
That's
true.
why
I
it's
noticed that when I was
funnier.
watching
And
it
he does a great job of breaking the fourth wall really quick. I mean that part where the 2 soldiers, the 2 scout troopers, are outside of the town and everybody's getting fucked up in the town. He's like, "Should we go help them?" He's like, "No, dude, we're gonna get killed. Are you kidding me? They're killing us
Oh,
in
I thought you
there."
were talking about the whole like stormtroopers can't shoot.
Or
for
when
shit.
they're shooting at the
Oh.
can and they can't hit it.
Oh, that too. But then there's also that point where like, should we go help them? I'm like, no, dude, we're gonna
Oh,
get
yeah.
murdered if we go in there. We can't. Those are the good guys.
Yeah.
So,
So season 1, I give like a 6.5, because it was just too much of that. But season 2, I don't think the first half sucked. I think the first 2 episodes sucked. Truly sucked. I didn't like them. I didn't like the Marshall one. I loved Timothy Oliphant.
yeah,
He was whatever.
it's disappointing.
And then the passenger, really, that was the worst for me. I hated the passenger episode.
oh my god.
It's-
Oh,
See, you guys
okay.
forgot about it. You didn't even remember the passenger.
The ice
Yeah.
planet, right?
Well,
What was the passenger?
Well, you're forgetting
There was
that
one
part.
with the huge spiders, and he's transporting the mom who has the eggs, and then
Oh,
Baby
I
Yoda,
hated all that.
Grogu's just eating the eggs.
eating your
like an
children.
And she doesn't even notice.
Not even
She's-
sympathetic towards the
You
baby
think he
anymore.
counts.
She doesn't
You
even
think he's like,
care.
wait a minute, I'm missing like
And
9
she
fucking
doesn't
eggs here.
know. Grogu had a whole feast of eggs.
Also,
Listen,
there's
He had a whole
two.
omelet.
This is the lowest points in like most Star Wars. There's another formula here that you never deviate from. Is like everybody can understand other alien languages. and they speak common to it, galactic common or whatever, and it's fine. But in The Mandalorian, the first 2 episodes, Mando's speaking to the Gungans. The Gungans. He's talking to the sand people. He's talking to under his like Mando helmet, and it's distorting his voice. And I was like, what?
That was stupid. That was so stupid.
And then in the other episode, when the frizzy-haired Ellen Ripley knockoff is talking to the Lizard King, and she's like, all that. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I hate that kid. I mean,
they did the same thing. They did the same thing in a Solo story.
Which is stupid.
Still not great.
Stupid. Don't use alien languages to talk to them. Use the galactic common, and talk to them.
It's called Galactic Basic.
Galactic Basic. That's it. See, I got the galactic part. I knew I was missing something.
Yeah,
just do it. It's an established rule.
Yeah.
Jabba the Hutt speaks Huttese.
Yep.
You speak English back to him.
Did you guess at that, Dad?
No, I heard.
I knew it. Oh, that's right. Okay, good.
That's actually that's the most common secondary language in Star Wars. That's like what Wabanabunga and like all that shit. That's all Huttese.
Wabanabunga.
Han me boogie.
Okay, so that's the thing about season 2 is that the first 2 episodes I really don't think are very good. But after that, the Heiress, that's the 3rd episode is the one where you get to meet the other Mandos. Yeah. And it's like kind of half and half because the first part of that episode is still kind of just on a new mission, I'll make you a deal kind of thing. But then you get to meet the other Mandalorians and it kind of makes it better.
Yeah, right? You come steal this spaceship with us and we'll give you, I don't know, a fucking chocolate bar. Yeah,
they give him nothing really other than just tell him where
boot at the door.
They tell him where Ahsoka Tano is.
That's all.
Okay, that's right. He's trying to jump off Grogu the whole time.
Yeah,
off daycare.
Yeah,
Jedi daycare.
I think he literally does drop Grogu off with the girl whose eggs he keeps eating.
Don't you want to? Oh yeah, and he almost eats more eggs,
dude. Yeah, he's been trying. This whole show should be called "Getting Rid of Grogu."
Yeah.
What are we gonna do
with Grogu this episode?
There's a lot of oh no, we gotta do things, and then fucking Grogu's just eating shit, and they're like, stop eating that shit. We gotta do things that are dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of cute. Though.
I mean, he is cute. It's undeniable.
I can't. It's just like fucking Guardians of the Galaxy 2, man. If you put one too many of those scenes of the cute thing doing something cute, I'm gonna get mad. I'm just like, I'm tired of seeing.
I don't think they did that though. I think they towed the line really well with the.
They got close, but they did not. I don't think. Yeah, I think you're right. They didn't.
They skirted the two-edged cute.
They didn't fuck it up. Guardians of the Galaxy put like 3 too many in, and it really.
And Groot isn't as cute as Grogu.
No,
Groot
that was my problem.
The same
Groot
cuteness past
too much cute Groot.
Yeah.
They even violated the rule of comedy. He does like fucking. He brings back like 5 things.
It's ridiculous. Too much.
God,
the joke's told. Let's get going. But anyway,
yeah, exactly. All right.
Yeah. So back to my rating. So I would say season 2 is like way stronger because, in my opinion, it only has 2 bad episodes, which are just the first 2. So I would say this one's like an 8. Maybe 8.5. It's real. I really liked it, and the first, I think we all agreed the first 2 sucked. So I stopped watching it for a while, and I let the episodes air, and I just didn't watch them. I thought they're all going to be like that, and then they really shocked me. So I would say overall, man. And if those 2 episodes weren't so bad, man, it could be even higher than an 8 or 8.5. But I'd say, it was like an 8, 8.5 for me. Damn those 2 episodes.
Season 1 was a light 4.
Ooh,
light 4. It was just okay. Like I said, I was bored with it. I thought it was some cool some of the stuff they did. Again Werner Herzog I'll watch him do anything. So that was cool. But the whole show felt so painfully formulaic for me, and I hated the fucking music. And it was just okay, right? The first season was okay. Second season, what felt the exact same to me, and I thought they were just going to toe that same boring line. Until the Ahsoka Tano Ben,
right? That's how I've been saying Tano.
Whatever,
Tano.
Bo-Katan. That's when it's. But I have no emotional attachment to the character, so it was like kind of neat, but like whatever. And then the episode after that though, when they go to that planet and Boba Fett shows up and Grogu's, like I said, using the Jedi phone. That's when it started to pick up for me, and I was like, and all of a sudden I was like, holy shit, this is getting good. You know what I mean? It's kind of like what I started feeling. And so the next 3 episodes were really good to me. I really enjoyed them. So up until that point, we were a 3 at this point for me. because it felt like season 1 again to me. And I'm like, fuck, this is a rehash of season 1. They ever gonna, is this ever gonna get good and find its and then it found its home, if you will, or whatever you want to call it.
Groove.
And then last 3 episodes, I'd give a 4. No, I'm just kidding. Probably
crawled out of that hole.
Yeah, probably a heavy 4 instead of a light 4. Probably a 6 or 7. Probably 6 or 7 because it still was, like I said, the Luke thing. Like I said, I I'm still pretty
too little, too late, maybe.
Too little, too late.
Too little, too late. Well, that episode was good even without Luke.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to visualize, but if the Mandalorian season 2 had come out before The Last Jedi, would you have liked it a lot more?
Yes.
That's hard to say, right? It's hard to say.
I think I would have liked it a lot more because I really like
you're right.
Force
I think
Awakens, and so getting something like this
you have that bitter taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Last Jedi really fucked shit up for me. It really, really did. Especially because I loved The Force Awakens so much. I guess I saw it 5 times in the theaters. I loved The Force Awakens, even with all its problems. I fucking loved it. So for them to then completely fuck everything up with The Last Jedi, yeah. And that's my fault too, but if I love something, I love something. I'm not going to pretend I don't. You guys know me. If I hate it, I hate it. You're going to hear about it and go.
Yeah. Well, I was having a beer.
If I love it.
I was having a beer with Kathleen, and she told me specifically that that she wanted you,
Kathy.
She wanted you to stop liking Star Wars altogether. She was like, I can't believe The Force Awakens didn't do it. He's so forgiving. We'll have to really fuck the pooch for this next one.
Kat, I tell you, she's so funny.
Yeah,
such a kidder.
I think Perry's talking about episode 9 stunk of Star Wars, I think, Ben. But at least it was fun.
I don't think episode 9 was fun. I thought it was actually...
I mean, it's fun in like a Goonies way, because it's basically Goonies.
Episode 9 is the most entertaining of those 3.
Which
you really think that?
No, I don't.
Yes, because Force Awakens is straight boring and plagiarism. It's the same movie that we've already seen. And there's nothing new or interesting about it. Look, here's the thing. You play it safe and you just rewrite the same movie. I hate you for it. You can make a shitty movie. A shitty Star Wars movie is still better than one that What's amazing that already happened.
What's amazing is that the prequel trilogy is better than the sequel trilogy, and I don't know how they did that.
Yeah,
it's because each movie is consistently bad.
It's funny.
At least with Rise of Skywalker, it was fun.
It's funny that you say that because the sequels before the prequels before the sequels were the sequels, if that makes any sense. But the sequels have come out. The prequels are like, they're not that bad.
Yeah.
They were trying something different. They were
suck, but they're not that bad compared to the sequels.
It's true.
At least the prequels tried.
At least I'll give the prequels are ambitious.
Dude, the prequels tried with heart and soul to be Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
They didn't try to destroy Star Wars. They didn't mean to ruin Anakin Skywalker. They didn't mean to do that. They were trying to just tell a story. They're very earnest, these films, where the sequels are not earnest. They're like, fuck you, original fans, is what they're saying. Like I said, I have no problem in prequel fans. I have no problem with bringing in the new guard, right? But you got to honor the old. You have to. The old is how we got here, motherfuckers. Get shit on us. And like I said, back to Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai does exactly what Star Wars should have done, which was honor the old.
All I'm saying is that Cobra Kai is 2K sounds and Kathleen Kennedy is 2K sounds. So coincidence? I mean, it's really just bring it up.
What you were trying to say for a second there.
Yeah. Well, really quick,
Kathleen Kennedy.
So when I saw Force Awakens, I agree with you, Jeremy. It's very, very. It's derivative. It's very derivative. Oh yeah, it's a New Hope.
So let down.
But it's a New Hope 2. It's a New Hope the reboot.
Not even.
But the thing is, not even. No, it's not even to you. So the thing is like when I was watching this, I was like, okay, they have another Death Star. This feels exactly. Why are they doing this? Like, why are they? This is a formula that doesn't work. They tried making the second Death Star bigger, and it still exploded. It's like don't go smaller. If anything,
New Empire is just
go smaller. Well, that's what they did in The Last Jedi. They went smaller. They brought out that fucking tank that had Death Star tech.
It is one of the problems with Star Wars where they're like, okay, well, the first one you could shoot some torpedoes down. Let's make it so you can actually drive ships into it and blow it up.
Well,
Right.
it was incomplete or whatever.
It
Come
even has the
on.
same
Even
thing where they break
still.
into the Death Star. Like it's just the
It's
same. It's the same.
But the thing is like when I was watching this, I thought this is a great way to combine the nostalgia that a lot of the older fans were going to feel and usher in the newer generation. And the next episode 8, was going to be something amazing. And the thing is when episode 8 came out, completely like the Star Wars movies became a fight basically. It felt like your parents were fighting, and it's just like they were just like retconning things left and right. That's what it was.
The third film was definitely a retcon. Yeah.
It was a retcon of all the stuff that the episode 8 had retcon because like Ryan Johnson came in and was like, actually, I don't like any of this stuff. Let's completely flip it.
Let's subvert your expectations.
Yeah, that's like all the stuff that we set up is gonna be wrong, which is a terrible way to tell a story. Could you imagine if
potato head to you?
Could you imagine if in like the second Lord of the Rings, Frodo just died?
He's the
and
Ringer.
because
he's
Peter
the
Jackson was not the director of the second Lord of the Rings, and
and then they brought him back to do the third one, and
not that he just died.
It's terrible.
That Star-Lord killed him. No, not Star-Lord.
Aragorn.
Aragorn. If Aragorn had just turned around and killed him, like I'm just gonna be evil now.
Yeah.
That's it would have felt the same way.
Yeah.
Again, this is back to where and I even on one level I appreciate what Ryan Johnson was doing. I understand what he was attempting to do. But you can't do this with Star Wars.
No, you absolutely can do it with Star Wars. I disagree. You can definitely do this with Star Wars, but what he did was so asinine and so it was a fundamental misunderstanding of the rules of the Star Wars universe. Well, you can subvert expectations while still following the rules of the Star Wars universe. But
agreed.
He didn't follow the rules.
He came in and just he clearly wasn't. Well, I mean, like Filoni and Favreau clearly are fans.
They get it.
Back to Cobra Kai. The producers and the writers of Cobra Kai, they love, the Karate Kid. They fucking love it. And Filoni and
Favreau. You keep saying his name.
Love Star Wars. I don't know. I just ain't sticking. And I love Favreau. They love Star Wars. Ryan Johnson didn't love Star Wars, obviously.
Yeah,
and
clearly,
he's like, I'm gonna fuck. And I don't know. I don't know if he's like, I'm gonna ruin this whole fucking thing. I'm gonna ruin this whole guy's day. I think it was like that. I think he thought he was being clever. I think he thought he was being smart about it. But again, with something that's at this point, Star Wars is a religion, right? It has that kind of devotion. You can't mess with it. You got to follow the rules.
Yeah. So there's actually, I mean, we talked about this game a couple times, but Knights of the Old Republic 2 is the correct way to challenge the rules that Star Wars has put in place. It's a very interesting game because it's the whole story is you live in a world 4,000 years before like all the other events, so you're not tied down to all that other shit anyways. But basically the Jedi are still a thing, but they just went through a whole civil war and like have basically collapsed. And your mentor, who's like retraining you to be a Jedi, she's not actually a Jedi. It turns out that she hates the concept of the Force. She despises that there's this unseeable thing that controls everything in the galaxy. And so the reason that she's the big bad guy isn't because she's like fallen to the dark side and is like evil and corrupt or whatever. It's because she wants to destroy the thing that like stops free will from existing, which just like as a high level concept, I think is ambitious for a Star Wars story.
Yeah.
But at least it's interesting and it takes
still fits in the world.
It fits in the world. It's like, of course, like, yeah, obviously she's not going to win because the Force is the Force. And like, we all know what the template's going to be.
It's like fighting gravity.
But at the end of the
That's what
day,
it is.
I can understand and empathize why somebody who's learned what the Force is would be like, fuck this. I want free will.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a very interesting way to subvert the typical villain in the Star Wars universe. Not ships have fuel now. And like, we can't go faster than them. And we can also track through. It's like, stop introducing science fiction into science fantasy. That's not what's like, that doesn't work in Star Wars.
That is a great point. That is a great
And I think that actually goes back to what you said before, Daryl, is he doesn't like Star Wars.
No.
Clearly he doesn't like Star Wars.
Wasn't a fan, obviously.
He's trying to shove all these non-Star Wars things, these science fiction kind of elements into something that's clearly not Star Wars. Which you know,
and I'm a fan of subverting expectations for certain things, right? Something not as established as Star Wars. You can't do it.
Yeah.
You just can't. And he tried. And it
there was
failed
also just
miserably.
dumb decisions that are just dumb. Like
Like I
you
said,
know,
there's
Carrie Fisher was already dead when the movie
Yeah.
when they were doing this movie. Why does she do the Mary Poppins thing?
Yeah.
Why does she do the Mary Poppins thing if she? Why didn't she? Just
It would have been, and she said, Carrie Fisher's on record for having said, like, when I die, I hope they shoot me out into space in a gold bikini so that I can like live amongst the stars or some bullshit. She had like some really poetic thing that she said, and they almost did that to the T in the movie, and then they just totally didn't. They were like, nah, but not really though.
We'll bring
I
it
know.
Is
back.
that subverting expectations, or is that just a stupid idea?
Is it not
Well,
just spitting in Carrie Fisher's fucking face
Right, and
after
also
she's
being
dead?
disrespectful.
Oh my god!
What's funny, like again, at the beginning of the third sequel, whatever the fuck it's called,
Rise of
the theft of
Skywalker.
the Skywalker name, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
General Leia Organa for some reason is training Rey, and Rey's just running around the forest, right, doing her own training. And
Yeah.
it's funny because I haven't seen that movie in a long time too. I like it when one thing I like about it is when Poe shows up. Is what the fuck are you doing here? You're the best warrior we have, and you're here training. And I was thinking, like, this girl has needed zero training, which has been the problem with the character, right? Is that she never needed any training. Why the fuck she training? You know,
It's like
Yeah,
using
another thing
obstacle
too-
courses.
What's
Doing
Doing
that?
the
like
thing
American Ninja Warrior in the jungle.
Yeah,
The exact quote from Carrie Fisher, really quick, was I tell my younger friends that no matter how I go, I want it reported that I drowned in moonlight, strangled by my own bra.
Oh,
And,
I like
and
that.
so, like, yeah, I mean, come on.
It's the only reason I wear a
couldn't
bra. is to be
strangle her in the
strangled
bra
by
or
it.
what? Come on.
They didn't do shit, man. They fucking brought her back.
Well,
Well,
it's
the
like
thing-
she was already dead. Why bring
Yeah.
her back in the movie if she had passed away in real life? This would be the ultimate send off, and it would have the emotional impact where Kyle Ren.
He's drinking a monster can.
He's drinking a monster can.
Shut up,
Fucking
Dad.
Bastard Kyle.
You know, Kyle
Uh,
Ren actually isn't that far of a stretch from who we got.
It's true.
Yeah.
So Kylo, like, it would have been really emotionally impactful if he almost kills his own mom, then last minute decides, no, I'm not going to be that bad
I'm
guy.
gonna drive my
and then-
spaceship right into her body. It would have
and then
made
they kill her anyway, and then she dies. That would be impactful.
it
for
would have
some
made
reason.
sense that she died, and then
And it would make
but
sense.
she married Poppins back in his spaceship.
And it would make sense. It was like everything was laid out in front of you to
Ugh,
make the right
Danny,
decision.
remember
and
when we
you
were in the
still
theater how
fucked it
mad
up.
we were?
I was missing work for that, and I almost left the theater to go to work.
Yeah.
I missed work for this. I'd
Like-
rather be back at
All right.
work
Yeah.
than watching this movie. Think about that.
Well, and the worst thing about the Rise of Skywalker, in my opinion, is that they basically destroyed the entire Anakin Skywalker line. The entire storyline is just gone because he's not the chosen one
Well,
anymore.
his
because
sacrifice.
his sacrifice. He was
for
still
his
the
own
chosen
son.
one up
Yeah.
until Episode 9 because he still killed the Emperor and brought balance. You know, he was supposed to bring balance.
Yeah, they gave that to Rey too.
Yeah, they gave that to Rey, and she's I am all the Jedi. Fuck that, dude. She's just
Didn't
been-
earn it.
I didn't
She's
even
the
earn it.
think
fucking
about that,
Avatar,
really.
man. She's
Yeah.
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
You're
She's-
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because actually, Anakin didn't end up
Huge.
doing shit.
yeah.
Well, that's
didn't
the
end up really-
problem
he's,
with
he's a road bump. Yeah,
the sequels is it erases Anakin's, Darth Vader's
Redemption.
sacrifice for his own fucking son. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful moment,
Right.
In,
Hadn't really thought about that.
Return of the Jedi, and to erase all, it's like when the in the latest. I mean, at this point, they're just fan fiction too. But the latest Terminator movie, it opens up with the death of John Connor, a young John
Okay.
Connor. So it erases all of that history. Now that none of that matters now. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You're like, fuck you. You know what I mean? We're invested
Yeah.
in this history, and you just subverted the expectations on the history. It's a
Yeah.
shitty thing to do. Like I
Mhm.
said, I know I've been
It's a
sucking
challenging
Cobra Kai's
thing
dick
to,
this whole
it's
night,
a
but
challenging thing to do, and more often than not, people fail at it. Maybe because it's a
You'll
new
always
writing
fail at
technique.
it.
I don't know if
You-
you'll always fail at it. I think there are examples where it's actually worked out just fine.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones was doing a really good job until, well, I mean, the book series, sure. Yeah.
Hold on, when you have an established property that's 40 years old that people are in love with, or 30
All right,
years old.
Star Trek, the reboot of Star Trek.
Okay, I agree with that. That's a really good example.
The first one is a phenomenal movie.
Yeah, it's great.
Second one's actually a decent movie. The third one is a little bit weird, but
the thing is that he did it correctly because there's two different timelines. Because Leonard Nimoy as Spock comes back and he says, "In my timeline, you and your
dad were besties."
Yeah. He lived
no,
to see
I really like the reboot of
and that's
Star Trek.
J.J. Abrams too.
I know,
that's why I was excited.
That's what I'm saying. I'm a fan of Abrams.
JJ.
He's done
Reboot.
So, like I said, it's a challenging
reboot.
It's a challenging thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think that there are some writers out there that think that they can do it because it's probably new ground for storytelling, which we all desperately need. But when you're doing it with an established property, you can fail miserably.
The reboot of Star Trek did not shit on the old Trek.
It absolutely did. What are you talking about? It's a completely different kind of movie.
No, I just told you that's why he did it well, though. It's two different timelines.
Spock is in it.
No. I mean the type of movie that it is.
Old
Star Trek
Spock is in it.
Yeah, go ahead.
But they don't shit on him. They don't make him a bad guy. They don't make him a shitty Vulcan. They don't make him a fucking stay-at-home, deadbeat dad.
How about the fact that
they don't make him.
What about the fact that Star Trek has always been a thought adventure before an action film or just an action series? It's always been about the implications of like mankind, right? Like
which is one of the things I've always irritated about me, that show.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and I'm an old Trek fan, sort of, but when they came out with The Wrath of Khan in 1982, so I'm a huge fan of the motion picture. The motion picture is thought-provoking, and it's philosophical, and it's really long and fucking boring.
Yeah,
and then
that's what people like
The
about
Wrath
Star
of
Trek.
Khan. I know, and then The Wrath of Khan came out. I was 10 years old. It was beautiful, and subverted expectations. Right. It was a totally different fucking movie. It was a ship battle in space, essentially, between two captains. You know what I mean? It was fucking brilliant. And it's my favorite Star Trek. It's everyone's favorite Star Trek movie, generally speaking, because it was fun to watch. We had clearly defined good and bad. And it wasn't the boring, thought-provoking, long drawn. Because I mean, if you've go back and try to watch the original series now,
well,
you're like,
this is a fucking long hour. It's a Seinfeld isn't funny kind of thing. Yeah, it's like it's old.
And I could never get in the Next Generation. TNG was always.
But TNG is one of the
Next Generation.
TNG is one of the most popular
Picard
properties, though.
I love Picard. I think it's make it so. I tried watching that show. I was like, this is so dumb.
But see, I mean, that's the whole thing. Like, that's why. So that fandom, if you can imagine the fandom that loved TNG, loved Deep Space Nine, which is even more philosophical because now it's not even angels in space; it's bad guys in space. And it's all philosophy. So like, imagine their taste in their mouth when fucking J.J. Abrams came out and was like, "Oh, pew pew, pow pow! Oh, get him, Captain Kirk! Oh yeah.
My twin brother hates the reboot of Star Trek. Hates it.
I'm sure for the same reason that we can't stand Last Jedi.
He hates that Spock and Uhura have a romance. He hates that. Oh, it made him so mad.
That's interesting that's what makes him so mad. Of all the things that can make him mad.
Yeah. I think the way that he kind of saved his own ass though, and he did it well, is the fucking the universes thing. It's the universes thing, because even the Romulan dude is just like, that's his entire thing. It's like rock. Spock killed my planet. It's his fault, but that's from a different time. That's from a completely different universe that he's getting. Like
Dwayne the Spock wasn't
even Spock.
Dwayne the Spock.
Yeah. So I get what you're saying, but I mean, you can watch Wrath of Khan now, and it feels very similar. Well, not completely similar to the new movies, but it's got a it's an action film. It feels a lot like an action
Wrath of Khan isn't the original Star Trek series supposed to be submarines in space?
Yeah, but the original
concept.
Series was very philosophical.
Yeah,
it wasn't a lot of. It was the occasional action, but a lot of it was
so
based
what happens
on
if we
stuff
do
that was going on at the world at the time.
Exactly.
I mean, a lot of political.
I mean, there
Now
was
we're
also
gonna
a lot of Captain Kirk making out with aliens.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that too, for sure.
But you know,
yeah.
you hand wave that stuff because it's
And-
like
and-
it's fan
And
service.
speaking of which, I just recently went to Vasquez Rocks, which is where they shot the Gorn episode of, I forget what it's called, but there's the episode of which where Captain Kirk farts. Nicola Bartloo. He fights this thing called a Gorn or whatever, but it's actually shot off the 14th freeway at this place called Vasquez Rocks.
Is
and I
it
just
like
went there
desert?
this last weekend. I don't know if you saw my Instagram. It is desert, but I
So
took
where
my
he's chucking the
motorcycle there.
rocks at the guy?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. I
Yeah,
saw a meme
that's-
about the stimulus checks. it's like the stimulus checks are the rock.
Oh, really?
and
I haven't
the
seen that
Gorgon
meme yet.
is labeled rent.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
$600, and he like throws it. The Gorgon, it like bounces right off of him.
It's just it's a Gorn, but anyways,
Oh, sorry,
let's
Gorgon.
just get this
Yeah,
right. It's,
Gorgon is the toy soldiers movie where it's the toy soldiers that have the military chip versus the Gorgonites, which are like the weird alien. You remember this movie? You guys have to know this movie.
What?
Toy
I'm
Soldiers.
thinking the Gorgons,
Oh,
which is
oh.
what Medusa is.
That's what I was just gonna say.
Yeah,
that's
Medusa's
what
a
I was-
Gorgon.
Toy Soldiers is the like computer
Yeah.
animated.
And then you have
movie.
Grogans, which are it's the
It's a
ship.
really bad one.
No. It's
Then you have
the,
Grass.
Grogu.
And then
who's
you have
a-
Grogu, which is Baby
first
Yoda.
sensitive-
And then we have the end of this episode.
And
because
then
Right.
we have
Yeah, this whole-
clothes.
this-
2 hours.
this episode is definitely.
Yeah. So
Really, we go that fucking
Yeah.
long? That's Star Wars.
Yeah,
man.
we've
Yeah.
man. Well, we
Well,
didn't
the-
talk
we-
about the
Don't get us
Mandalorian
started.
specifically.
small soldiers. Small soldiers.
Small
Small
soldiers.
Thank you, Perry.
Thank you.
Yeah.
There's
Come
no
on,
way
it's-
we weren't going to talk about the greater Star Wars lore
Exactly.
There's no way we weren't going to talk about
when
small
we talk about
soldiers.
Mandalorian.
That's
That's
why
awesome.
we went all the way to small soldiers and we're bringing it all the way back around.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty of the live stream is because I don't have to edit this, so we can just go however long we want.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's been our episode on Mandalorian seasons 1 and more so on season 2. And we all gave our ratings like half an hour to an hour ago.
And next week we'll talk about Fargo.
Yeah.
I
So
promise.
next week,
yeah, we promise.
let's do Fargo because
season 3.
I did binge that too, specifically to watch it last week. And then you guys just binged it, right?
Yeah, today.
Okay, well, to be fair, let me just say I was planning on doing last week what I did today,
Okay.
which
yeah,
was
no, no,
just
yeah.
one shot it.
Yeah, that's
So
fine.
I was gonna one shot it last week. and
I just want to talk
one-shotted
about
it this
Fargo
week.
because watching it again, I'm like, holy shit, this show is fucking art. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, it's
So.
6 episodes of amazing stuff, and then
I know what you're
Hold-
talking
hold
about.
on,
And we'll
save
get
it.
there. We'll get there.
I'm not.
So-
Just a sneak peek into next week's episode.
Yeah, I already
Yeah.
agree with you, Ben, on that, and I know what you're talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and I
think we all
yeah,
do.
We'll,
Yeah.
we'll get there,
Yeah.
and then it comes back. But so we'll do Fargo season 3 next week for sure. Dad, you got to watch it again. It's gonna be easy once you
I
start.
will.
it.
No, I have time. Yeah.
No, yeah, it's gonna be easy once you start it. Trust me. So we'll do it next week, 7:30 Central. I'm burping. And so this has been the We Like This podcast. Thank you for joining us. You can follow us at our Discord, which is in the description of this episode, and then our Instagram too is We Like This podcast or WLT podcast. It's one of the two. You'll find it. All right, cool. Thanks for watching.
Bye.